after only out a week or two. So this is reality that we are in this pandemic.
Ryan Windhorst on Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
Spend your tax return wisely. With Straight Talk Wireless, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense. Tune in to Straight Talk.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
But the Sweet 16 is all set in the NCAA tournament. You've got a 15 seed, you got a 12 seed, 11 seed, an 8 seed. You got a couple number ones, actually a few number ones. 4 big Pac-12 teams, not Big 12, Pac-12 teams. How about that? What happened to Big 10? Just Michigan hanging around. So the NCAA tournament sits quiet now for the next handful of days heading into the weekend, and it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. But Florida State onto the Sweet 16. Of course, you can hear Florida State basketball right here on ESPN 690. If you're watching Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch feeds, the video feeds, that is, of the show each and every day, well, you'll see a beautiful backdrop once again today. We are at Eagle Landing Golf Club out here near Oakleaf Plantation, and I would call it one of the best-kept secrets in Jacksonville if you're a golf fan. And by the way, it is part of our Action Sports Jacks Dream 18 card. More on that in a little bit. Brent Martineau here, Austin Lane back in the Action Sports Jacks studios, ready to shock your mock day 2 as we head toward the NFL draft coming up in late April. And the mocks are coming in, aren't they, Austin? Everybody wants to be shocked, or everybody wants to wear a T-shirt with our faces on it.
Yeah, I think everyone just wants some free swag, and that's fine. And you're going to have to earn that swag. You're going to have to take the beating that you're about to get when you come on Shock Your Mock. But if you can survive it, you don't have to make any phone calls to anybody that, says that you're upset, like HR or somebody like that, then yes, you may indeed get a T-shirt. But if it's bad, if it's that bad where it's like I can't come with you on that one, then I don't care. No T-shirt for you.
We seriously need to get like a therapist as the sponsor for Shock Your Mock.
I mean, I just send them to the therapist.
Send them to a therapist afterwards.
I mean, business can never be better. I love it, Coos.
That's a good idea, Coos. I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, hey, we need an electrician out there. Come sponsor Shock Your Mock, right? We want the shock, the electricity, all that stuff. But I was totally outside the thinking here. That's why I'm a bad sales guy.
Yeah.
I should have been thinking of being on the couch, the therapist. All right, start making phone calls, Coos. I like your idea there. We will get on it. Shock Your Mock season has begun. Mock draft season that started way back months and months ago. But I love these mock drafts because as you get closer, you can see the folks that put together mock drafts. They're still looking for the clicks. They're looking for the excitement. They're looking for what's going to see people read what they're saying, what's going to differentiate. But they also want to start tracking toward being right. We all have a little bit of an ego when it comes to this kind of stuff, and we want to be the guy that says, see, I told you they were going to pick them. Well, that's where the mock drafts start shaping up. There's more information now that some of the national guys that do this have received more information, talked to more folks, seen more fall in line, seen free agency. Mel Kiper's got a mock draft out. We'll take you there on the Jacksonville Jaguars. And, Austin, I want to talk about this a little bit more at length today. I know we're a month ahead of the NFL draft, but it's going to be a lot of draft talk leading up till April 29th when the Jaguars pick not just Trevor Lawrence at number 1 overall, but 10 other selections as of now. Gosh, I hope they don't pick all 10. Hopefully they'll make a move up and improve their draft position. But if they stick at number 25, I think it's really interesting. Before free agency, a lot of folks would have penciled the Jaguars in for a defensive lineman or a defensive player. The Mora kid out of TCU, safety, that made some sense as well. Well, now, after free agency, Jaguars beef up their defensive front. They add a safety as well. They add a cornerback too. Does this have everybody thinking and shifting their thoughts on what the Jaguars could do at number 25 and maybe lean toward an offensive player more so than a defensive player?
You can definitely lean towards an offensive player now, but if Morig's still there, because he's a guy that I think he has the skill set to play both a free safety or a strong safety. I like to see him play a strong safety. We're telling the truth here on the line because he's a very physical guy. And to me, those guys are harder to find than a free safety who's rangy, who has good footwork and athleticism. So I like to see Morig play strong safety. But like I said, he can play either one. I think he's that talented. I think that if he drops, and I say drops because he's probably going to go before 25, but if he drops to Jacksonville, I think you take a long look at him just to kind of do your due diligence a little bit, mind your P's and Q's. But I'm not going to be surprised now with the piece that they've added on defense if this team chooses to go on the offensive side of the route. And let's be honest, I think Taylor Moore would be a big get. But as far as like the excitement factor, would he add that to the safety position? I don't know if the fan base is going to go cheering in the streets for a safety pick. I think they do go in the streets if it's a dynamic playmaker like at the wide receiver position and like one of those sexy picks. So if Morig's there, I think you consider him. But I think if you're trying to focus on offense now and give Trevor Lawrence his weapons and make this in a very exciting draft, the first one of the Urban Meyer era, I think you go towards the offensive side of the ball. And obviously Urban Meyer loves speed, and speed equals sexiness, Brent.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more in depth about offense versus defense with that 25th overall pick. We know what's happening with the number 1 pick, but the Jags have 25 and 33. First pick of day number 2 in the NFL draft. Where will the Jags go? How will they position themselves? And also, this is almost a laughable question to ask with a team that coming off a 1-15 season. But when you pick in the first round, second round, third round especially, you could stretch this into the fourth round. But you're trying to pick starters, guys that are going to make an impact right away. Now, how much of an impact, that's debatable, but guys that could make an impact right away. Do the Jags need a lot from a starting impact perspective after free agency? Like, you look at their offense, what are you going to pick that someone's going to crack the lineup and contribute right away on offense? You look on defense, and now they beef up that line. We already know what they have at linebacker. It would be more of a depth play if you pick linebacker. And now in the secondary, let's throw Jared Wilson in there, who's been a reliable starter. He's not a star by any means, but he's been a reliable guy. And now you have basically your 4 starters that you could at least pencil in the secondary. So if you have pick 25 and you have pick 33 and you got a couple more picks in those first few rounds, I'm not sure you're picking up a guy that's going to impact right away from start in game 1 perspective.
Basically what you're asking me here is what players on this roster right now have secured a starting spot at their positions. And I think if we look at the defense, I think safety can be opened up a little bit. I think from the safety position, who's the guy that they just got from L.A., the free agent?
Oh, Rashawn Jenkins.
Yeah, Rashawn Jenkins. So he's safe, in my opinion, obviously. I think
he better be. They just spent $30-something million on him.
Yeah, but is he playing strong or free?
That's a good question. I'm envisioning more on the strong side, but those guys are so interchangeable these days. I envision that more because I know Jared Wilson's been a reliable guy for you, and I know he's a veteran guy, and you have him.
Okay, so I guess what I was getting towards is Jared Wilson is a free safety, obviously. So yes. I think if you were going to upgrade Jared Wilson, you can upgrade Jared Wilson. True. And he's been tried and true, and I get that, but there's room for upgrade there. So I think safety is still in play. I think interior defensive line, you did a fantastic job of adding depth. Malcolm Brown, Tyson Alualo. You got guys like Devon Hamilton still. There's a lot of pieces there to like. You got the cat from Chicago. But I still think that if you're still unsure about that, you can upgrade in the first round, still interior defensive lineman. Not saying it's definitely a need now, but I'm saying there's still room to upgrade in the starting caliber. So interior defensive line, safety from the defense. I think on offense, obviously wide receiver sticks out to me a little bit. You have DJ Chark, you have Laviska Shenault, but is Laviska Shenault ready to be the 2 receiver? I don't have an answer for that. And who's the 3 receiver right now?
Well, receivers, Marvin Jones.
I'm sorry, Marvin Jones. But then who's the 3 receiver going to be?
I would say Laviska right now would be the 3 guy.
Okay, but if you add a speed guy over Laviska, then what happens
Phillip
then?
Dorsett.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, for instance, Rondale Moore. If you take Rondale Moore at Purdue, because Urban Meyer loves speed, and he's been my dark horse the entire, the offseason here of some guy that Urban Meyer could like. If they take Rondale Moore, I'm not going to be opposed to that. Because Laviska Shenault, he can do a lot of things. But does he have the speed of Rondale Moore? Probably not. And Urban Meyer loves that. Can he do, the jet sweeps like Rondale Moore can? Probably not. And there's other guys out there besides Rondale Moore. I'm just saying from a speed perspective. So I think wide receiver can be upgraded. Obviously, tight end can be upgraded. That's really the only thing there. Yeah. And as far as the first round's concerned, you can throw around, interior offensive line, but as far as the first round's concerned, you don't really want to see him take a guard in the first round. So to me, if we're talking about the first round, wide receiver, tight end if Kyle Pitts is there, and then the safety position, and maybe interior defensive line.
Yeah, and then you'd have to beat somebody out, probably a veteran on that interior defensive line. Listen, those are fine. They're all debatable. I'm not saying you're wrong in any way, shape, or form. I think the receiver position's interesting. Give me top 4 receivers, and I would count that in this, even though, I'm not going 4 wide right off the rip. But I'd go 4 deep. Can somebody you pick at 25, potentially Rondale Moore, Kadarius Toney, could they make an impact in your top 4 receivers? I would put them in this category, even though they might not run out there on the first play from scrimmage, given your scheme, your alignment, whatever you might do. I would also think that you could make the argument for a dynamic back. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, about a Travis Etienne. If you were to pick somebody like that, again, James Robinson's your starting back on the first play from scrimmage, but if you picked somebody like Etienne, you would utilize him, is my point. So what I'm getting at here is, for a 1-15 football team that obviously has a lot of holes, after free agency, with what they have coming back, with solidifying the quarterback spot, it's really debatable on where you would go with number 25 overall, number 33 overall. And where they would slide into a starting job. And very often is the case, even on good teams. You can pick a guy 25th overall, and he's going to see significant playing time or be a starter. And so I think that's a little bit interesting right now with the Jacksonville Jaguars. It also speaks to, can we do something dynamic in the draft here in Jacksonville, because you really don't need 11 picks. Right? I mean, sure. if when you're at pick 25 and pick 33 and some of the top picks in the first few rounds, and you know those guys are going to be part of rotation, but maybe not even in starting roles potentially, well, what the heck do you really need a backloaded draft of 5th and 6th and 7th round guys? You went and got so much depth in free agency. That's why it would be so nice, and I really think fans would want to see the Jags be aggressive here and move up and go get a player that they covet in this draft. That hasn't seemingly happened in a long time significantly. The Jags did move up a couple spots years ago to get Miles Jack, and I think even moved a spot or 2 to get Cam Robinson. But you know what I mean. I'm talking go from 33 and back into the first round if you see somebody you like, or get from 25 to obviously the Pitts play that everybody is talking about. You just might have to give up too much in that regard.
Yeah, I think the other position, too, that is warranted to be mentioned here as well is that outside linebacker, providing you're playing a 3-4 defense. Because, Josh Allen has cemented his role as a starter. Caleb Von Chason should as well. But it's like I've always said, the most important positions in a 3-4 defense are outside linebackers. And while Caleb Von Chason should have a much better year this year playing in a position that he's naturally accustomed to playing, are you still willing to risk it and say, okay, we're not going to address this in the draft at all because we like Caleb Von Chason? Sure. I mean, I've been the first one to say I think Caleb Von Chason could be a special player. I'm a fan of his first step. I'm a fan of his skill set. I just need to see him play in the proper position. But are you willing to risk it and say, okay, maybe we'll wait till the 3rd or 4th or later rounds to address the outside linebacker, or do you go early on just to, kind of as a fail-safe per se, because that's such an important position? And if I'm Urban Meyer and if I'm Joe Cullen, I'm taking a long, strong look at that 25th pick, or maybe later on in the draft, maybe that 2nd round, maybe an outside linebacker as well, just so you have a fail-safe in case Chason doesn't make that progress like we expect him to make this year.
Yeah, I guess the moral of the story for me is it's not only interesting because you wonder where guys will fit if they are drafted on day 1 or even day 2. And normally those guys are going to see significant playing time, and you hope they are key contributors to get your team better. I'm not sure that's exactly the case with this team, although from a rotational depth standpoint, you certainly would. But it also goes to show how much they did in free agency. When you add, or when you make 17 transactions, and some of that's keeping your own, franchising tag Cam Robinson, bringing back 4 other players that you had on your roster and signing them, when you make 12 other free agent moves, you've really done a lot on a 53-man roster. Mm-hmm. We'll see how it all shakes out. And some of those guys, I think, are debatable whether they actually see September on this Jacksonville Jaguars roster. Some of those deals were very moderate, where you could replace them with better players down the road in like that 3rd wave of free agency, guys that get released when rosters are done late in early September, or just from the draft, where you might find a better player and outperforms in camp, much like, by the way, James Robinson kind of did, and they were able to cut Leonard Fournette and let him walk. So, well, that was a little bit different situation. You get my point. So I think it's fascinating with the Jaguars team, and I just can't bounce it back in my mind. They were 1-15. You have so many holes. You're not very good. Yet they feel like they're plugged in a lot of spots, or at least it does that way to me when I look at their depth chart on offense and on defense.
Let me ask you this quick, Brent. I want to ask you this question. Rank right now. So obviously, interior defensive line was a position of need. They've addressed it pretty well in free agency. So if we're going to rank right now the needs of this team in the first round, and let's go and throw tight end out of there, because if it's going to be Kyle Pitts, it's going to be Kyle Pitts. But if not, it's not like I see Freiermuth being a 25th pick of the draft, right? So
that's way of reach, right?
Correct. So let's throw the tight end position out of the mix. Rank right now what you want to see the Jaguars address then with that 25th pick, where the roster stands right now. In order to most importance.
Absolutely, and you got it. I would say right now, if I can't get tight end in that spot because I don't think the talent is there, I think that would be a reach. I would be looking at a playmaker on offense. I don't know if that is Kadarius Toney, Rondale Moore, someone like you said. Add another receiver in there. Is it one of the backs, which would seem kind of high to pick a back? I get it, but at least not the top 5, folks.
Yeah, but so hang on. So you're going to say you're going to take a running back over an edge rusher right now, even though you have James Robinson?
Well, I feel like I don't know if I'm getting. I've done this study before, okay, and I want to kind of hedge this because I don't have it in front of me. But I did this last year, and when you get past pick number 20 in edge rushers, it could be feast or famine, big time, and more often than not, famine. It's very hard to find somebody who's going to help you out and help you out in a big way in that 20 to 35 range. If I remember the study I did. Listen, you can give me – I know you're going to give me examples. You can. Listen, I hope Chason fits that mold. He was picked at number 20. But does this draft have that? Does this draft have a T.J. Watt that you're going to find? Or are we going to instead pick somebody that plays, and I know it's not a similar position, but a little bit more like turns out to be a Taven Bryan? You know what I mean? That's the feast or famine I'm talking about. You can find T.J. Watt, but more often than not, you find Taven Bryant's. At that time of the draft when it comes to pass rushers. If I remember the study I did that last year with the Jags in that second pick.
Okay. What do you think the same study says about the playmakers at the wide receiver position when you draft them late in the draft like that?
I think you get way more value off a late first round, even into the second round, Austin. So to your point, if you saw an edge rusher there and you had pick 33, you'd probably just be able to get as much value potentially at 33 out of maybe even a back or maybe even a wide receiver than taking them at 25. Okay. So in fairness to your question, because the Jags have 2 picks so close together at 25 and 33, I would think that would be something they would consider. You're talking like that, you'd say, okay, can we get this edge rusher after this edge rusher at 25? If we don't pick him, we don't like anybody until like the 4th round. Well, at receiver or maybe even running back, where you think you can get some playmaking ability, you say, well, I get this at 25, but I also can get this at 33. So if you follow me, you might win that. You asked me what way would I rank him. Mm-hmm. And the way I would rank him is I want more offensive I want another offensive playmaker. Before I probably want what I see at number 25 on the edge.
Okay. Gotcha.
You disagree?
No, I mean, to me, it all depends how the draft shakes out. I think if Taylor Morrig's there, then, safety to me is still a little bit of a concern. I like what he brings to the table. I might pull the trigger on Taylor Morrig. So, once again, assuming that the draft shakes out like I want it to, which I doubt it's going to because I think he's going to go earlier than 25, I would put safety at number 1. I think that it would be a 2A and 2B in terms of edge rush and in terms of playmaking ability. Because like we've said, I mean, they have wide receivers. They have Marvin Jones playing the 2. They have Chenault, essentially a 3 and kind of the gadget guy. And they obviously have DJ Chark. Now, do you want to see more speed and maybe a dynamic playmaker? Absolutely. But who do they have on the edge right now? They have Calebon Chason and Josh Allen. Who else do they have? Do we know? I mean, is there like another outside linebacker who's in the mix right now?
Where will Ward play? Picked up from the Ravens.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that's a good point. I guess.
And by the way, they do have, depending on how they want to use, like from the strong side, Leon Jacobs still on the roster.
Yeah, but I don't think from a pass rushing perspective.
No,
he's
I get it, but I mean
he's. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't disagree. I'm just telling you from a depth play, from a strong side standpoint, they still have him as a body right now.
Sure.
So I'm not denying that you need some more help. What I'm asking is how much help can you get at 25 and 33 in this draft? And I don't know if that answer is a resounding, heck yeah, let's do it. Like you said it yesterday, right? But what if a Gregory Rousseau, who's a good player, who you kind of get excited about as a player, but you don't really like him in this scheme much?
No, absolutely not. I think he's going to – he's very raw. He plays with his hand in the dirt, great hustle, all that stuff, but I don't see him playing an outside linebacker anytime soon.
Okay, so that's kind of my point is like Gregory Rousseau might be TJ Watt, but he just kind of doesn't fit.
Yeah.
In Jacksonville, so you're not going to take him. You might go then offensive weapon or Morig or somebody else.
Yeah, I mean, I think his teammate Jalen Phillips, I think is a little smaller than Rousseau. I think that you could possibly coach him up how to play outside linebacker, but once again, doesn't have a lot of experience doing it. I think Xavion Collins out of Tulsa, even though he's more of that middle linebacker type, I mean, they're saying this guy could be something special in terms of his speed, his intensity, all that stuff. All those things check the Joe Cullen boxes. Now, how is his pass rush? Can you teach him how to rush the passer right away? I'm not sure about that, but to me, Xavion Collins is the most intriguing guy out of that group because he has the most to gain, I feel like, because he was more of a middle linebacker at Tulsa. The cat from Penn State, Jason Awe or whatever, he's another guy who's got experience playing the outside, great pass rush skill set. So there's some guys out there that would translate, in my opinion, better to a 3-4 outside linebacker. But that's the point, though, Brent. I don't want to take a guy who's going to be a problem of, okay, we got to teach him how to play standing up. We got to teach him how to drop back into coverage. You can't afford that. That's a luxury. Right now, what you need a guy to do is come in day one and say, all right, what's up, Caleb on Chason? I'm here to push you. Either you can handle it or you can't. I'm taking your spot. That's what I want to see if they go with edge rusher and they go with defensive end.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, what we're talking about based on need and spots and fits and everything else and what might be out there at certain positions, we might truly be talking about a BPA in that spot, the best player available. Everybody likes to say it. It doesn't always happen, especially in the first round and that high in the draft. We might seriously be talking about the rest of the draft for the Jags in the BPA mold, although I think they'll lean on the offensive end toward the middle of rounds. Hey, real quick, Devonta Smith slips to number 18 in the draft. Are you doing all you can to go get him? The wide receiver from Alabama.
Whew. Yeah, I mean, you put him in the slot. That's a speed guy. That's a dynamic playmaker. I would seriously consider it, absolutely.
All right, maybe a little bit more on that. Alabama had their pro day today. We talk more football, little NCAA tournament. Florida State, are they good enough to win this thing now? It's all on the way. We are live at Eagle Landing Golf Club out here near Oakleaf Plantation, one of the best-kept golf courses, best-kept secrets in Jacksonville. You got to get out here to play, and you can do so if you purchase the Dream 18 card on ESPN690.com. We'll be right back.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Milder today, still breezy under partly sunny skies, highs in the mid-70s, only topping out in the upper 60s at the beaches where it'll still be pretty windy. Partly cloudy into the mid-50s tonight, and quite warm for tomorrow and Thursday under partly sunny skies. Your Wednesday high near 80, and on Thursday up to 85. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds, where right now you can get 5 years, zero-interest financing with nothing down.
Life is complicated. We all know it, and all can use the proper support system. You know what else can be complicated? Owning a home. And that's why Rex was built to go beyond the simple real estate transaction. Full-service agents for buying and selling, mortgage services, insurance quotes, escrow and title, even home repair, all one call away. I guess you could call Rex your home support system and not a typical brokerage. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. Want more? Of course you do. With all that convenience comes reduced fees, too. In fact, the average Rex homeowner saves over $10,000 when buying and selling a home. Want to get started? It's never too soon. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. 833-739-4663. Florida license number CQ1057788. For further licensing disclosures, please visit rexhomes.com.
Hello, you have reached the Crooks or Us training helpline. Today we're explaining the term verified alarm to all you newbies out there.
Oh, boss, I can explain that. A verified alarm just means that whatever caused the security system alarm to go off has been verified.
Correct. And what alarm company is known for providing the fastest verified alarms?
Safe Touch Security.
Exactly. because SafeTouch has the two-way communicator, which leads to alarm verification within seconds.
And alarm verification is very bad for us crooks.
Yeah, unlike a non-verified alarm that police label a low priority.
Like right below getting Grandma's cat out of a tree low.
So, to sum up, verified alarms. Just one more reason we crooks have the golden rule: stay away from SafeTouch houses. Remember that, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, kitty.
Only one security system is truly the best. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of SafeTouch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call SafeTouch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
I should have my kid tell you about Jumpin' Jack's House of Food. It's Ty's favorite burger in town. Make it one of your favorites as well. Jumpin' Jack's House of Food has 3 locations now: Atlantic Beach, Mandarin, and downtown Jacksonville. Change your life burgers. But they have salads, pizza, and much more on the menu, too. Let Jumpin' Jack's House of Food be your great neighbor. Lunch or dinner with the family, or they will cater parties from 2 to 500 people. Jumpin' Jack's, HOF.com for online ordering. Jumpin' Jack's House of Food, open 7 days a week.
Do you know what it takes to be a successful business owner? If so, share your advice with someone who is eager to learn from your experience. As the nation's premier organization supporting small businesses, SCORE is always looking for people willing to offer their time and expertise to mentor current or aspiring entrepreneurs. We need volunteers from all areas of business, including accounting, finance, human resources, sales and marketing, as well as legal. If you're interested in joining our team, click on the volunteer tab at jacksonville.score.org.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Have you seen it? The all-new showroom at Arlington Toyota is open, and they're ready to celebrate with big savings, even on pre-owned. Celebrate savings and hearing the words, "You're approved." That's right. With Arlington's Credit for Everyone program, if your Beacon score is from 450 to 850, almost everyone is approved. Plus, if you want selection, Arlington's got it. With over 400 pre-owned on the lot, what are you waiting for? Celebrate with savings and come see the brand new facility at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
Shred your goals this year with the new Metabolism Boost Banana Passion Fruit Smoothie from Smoothie King. At only 240 calories and 14 grams of protein per 20 ounces, this crave-controlling meal smoothie has non-GMO whole fruits, naturally derived caffeine, and absolutely no syrups. Or try strawberry pineapple or mango ginger. Start your healthier habit and order online at smoothieking.com. Now for pickup or delivery at any of the Jacksonville area locations. Smoothie King, rule the day.
It's been 6 months since my wife leased her new Cadillac from Fields Auto Group, and she absolutely loves it. It's our first experience with Fields, and it's been terrific. They say you can step up to luxury for less, and we did. Not just a luxury Cadillac XT6. The car is beautiful, but the customer service is extra special, too. It was like that at Fields Cadillac Jacksonville, and it will be like that at any of the Fields locations in Jacksonville. Cadillac, of course, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche as well. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. We are now part of that Fields Amenities program, and my wife tried the loaner program. It was easy and a nice added benefit. So whatever you're driving, see Fields and step up to luxury for less. Check out their locations all around Jacksonville, just like we did. You can go visit fieldsauto.com.
Vote for this week's ESPN 690 High School Athlete of the Week, presented by Honda of the Avenues. Each week, an athlete with the most votes will be announced on Action Sports Jacks. To vote or nominate your favorite student athlete, go to ESPN690.com or check us out on ESPN 690's Facebook page.
Brent Martineau.
Then I said, still looking for his 4th career sack.
Austin Lane.
I'm spending pretty much every single day with somebody for pretty much 2 years now that you know somebody. And they surprise you. I sit here before you right now, and I am surprised.
Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
We're in a basketball conference with some of the most rich, traditional, successful, traditional basketball programs in the history of college basketball. I'm not real sure we're ever going to make up for the 75 or 80 years of success that some of the programs in our league has enjoyed. So, we're trying to find a way to carve our own little niche out. And I'm not really sure how long it's going to take us to be considered, or if we ever will be considered in the blue blood status. So we just kind of coined our own phrase. We're new bloods. We new on the block. We didn't get invited to the blue blood party. So we kind of coined our own little phrase of new bloods, guys who are trying, to earn the respect.
That is Leonard Hamilton talking about the Florida State Seminoles, victorious last night over a Colorado team that looked so good in round one. And then through the first 15 minutes of the game against Florida State, they only had like 11 points. I mean, they hit everything in round one. They couldn't hit anything last night. And at Florida State, they too were a little bit slowed in the first half offensively, but turned it around the second half to go away and win with ease. On to the Sweet 16 against Michigan. Can they beat Michigan? Can they get to the Final Four? Are they good enough to win the whole thing? It's already a wacky tournament, so the question of can is an empty one. Of course they can. Anything can happen in this tournament, and yes, they can. But realistically, do you feel good about this year's team making a deep run for Florida State now that you've watched them? I'm not even sure, Austin, they've played their best basketball. In fact, I know it. They have not played their best basketball here in the NCAA tournament, and they're still 2-0.
No, without a doubt. If Michigan can bring that out of them, it should be a great game. I'm not going to lie. Michigan surprised me last night in terms of their firepower. LSU can put up points now, and they're a very potent team. But, even that Michigan offense was way too much for LSU. I feel like Michigan's playing a good brand of a good brand of basketball right now. And I'm looking forward to that Michigan-Florida State matchup. That should be a great one.
Yeah, Michigan would love to play a good brand of football.
Yeah, if only. Well, keep paying your coaches what you're paying them, I guess, and keep re-upping those coaches because apparently you're doing okay. You're just not beating Ohio State quite yet.
I was going to say Ohio State's all for that kind of football from Michigan. All right, let's talk more football. Before the break, I asked you, I just played the scenario because what the heck we can, right? Devonta Smith, who I actually do think, Austin, is a little bit overhyped in this draft. From an NFL standpoint, as a top 10 guy. His slight nature concerns me a bit. I was a brilliant route runner, fast, got good hands. He's done it, and he's proven he can do it. And I don't usually like to knock guys for that. There's just something that says, man, are we hyping this guy so much off those last couple months of that season, which was terrific and sensational. And put him on the Jags right now, and I'd be happy. But I just don't know about him in that top 10 range, in that lottery pick kind of talk. And so just for this argument, I asked you before the break, if he were to slip to like 18, which is probably a pretty big slip for him, but appease me here, would you consider trading up for him? Because this goes along with the topic I had to start the show, and that was, which side do you want to go with number 25 or 33? Do you want to go offense, defense? Well, I like the idea of going to get a playmaker, or if there's one at 25, trying a playmaker out on the offensive end. Would I go get Devonta Smith? Is he enough to move up for? We all know if Kyle Pitts fell, and probably outside the top 10, we'd be begging the Jags to go up and get him. Would you be doing something similar for Devonta Smith? And I'll make the drop a little bit more deep to get him to like number 18, so it's a reasonable jump, not jump from 25 to like 11. Would you do that? And does he excite you as a playmaker in the NFL, and potentially what he could do to add another dynamic to this offense in Jacksonville?
Obviously, it comes with a caveat depending on how this draft would shake out. But if Devonta Smith is up there, would I risk it to get him? And I would probably say absolutely yes, because I understand the size, okay? I understand the height, I understand the weight, and I understand all that. But he's the future. These smaller typed, fast twitch, quick receivers, they are the future, okay? Forget what you think about the old school guys like a Kelvin Johnson or an Andre Johnson, like these big receivers. Like, yeah, there's a need for them too, or like a Julio Jones or an A.J. Green in his prime. Like, yeah, those receivers, they're still, obviously, if you can get a good one, they're great. Don't get me wrong. They're the red zone targets. I guess, kind of Kenny Galladay. You see what he just got paid, right? Well, he got paid for a reason. So I'm not saying that there's not a need for those guys. But if you can find that smaller type where you can kind of move him around the field a little bit, a la like a Tyreek Hill. I'm not ready to even compare Devonta Smith to Tyreek Hill. I think there's differences in their game. I see like a little more like a Calvin Ridley, I guess I would say, maybe an upgrade from Calvin Ridley, and he's doing pretty well in Atlanta right now.
That'd be pretty good
for the Falcons, and I think he's even could be better than Calvin Ridley. So that says a lot right now about Devonta Smith. But I think the whole thing with Devonta Smith is if he's going to have success, he's got to find the right scheme and the right offense to play in. I don't think he comes in day one as expected to be the one receiver. I think if that was the case, then that would be a problem. I think what made DK Metcalf and A.J. Brown so great was they were brought in not to be the go-to guy right away. Remember, like there was some kind of like DK Metcalf, yeah, he runs straight laterally, but his three-cone shuttle was the same as Tom Brady's. Can he really run routes, stuff like that? We still got Tyler Lockett over here, so we'll put DK Metcalf at number 2 until teams start taking him seriously. What happened with DK Metcalf? The guy came on the scene, absolutely tore the house off, and now he's pretty much the true one receiver of Seattle. And he's the future of the Seattle Seahawks, pending that Russell Wilson's still going to be there. I think A.J. Brown can be said about the same thing a little bit. Obviously, they had Corey Davis there. You still have a strong running game. Now, Corey Davis never amounted to that true one receiver, but I think A.J. Brown went to Tennessee without the pressure of being that one guy until it was time for him to be the one guy. The same can be said for Devonta Smith if he comes to Jacksonville. You're going to have DJ Chark. You're going to have Marvin Jones. They're not going to expect Devonta Smith to, be the guy right away. But if he plays into that, so be it. All I know from what I've seen about Devonta Smith, though, on the biggest stages is when he's shined the brightest. And there's something to be said about that.
Yeah, listen, I think he's a really good wide receiver. I would just say I feel like he's a shade overhyped. I'm not going to lie to you, man. I kind of feel like even Pitts has been a shade overhyped. But I can see that more because of the examples of it and where the game is in the NFL of like Pitts having way more of an impact than a guy like Devonta Smith. And I understand what you're saying about the game. But I just feel like if you let's just say Pitts goes number 6 to the Eagles and Devonta Smith goes number 8, to whoever's picking number 8, Carolina. And I really do feel like Pitts is going to have a bigger impact on that football team than Smith will. How much is that? I think it's a pretty decent margin. I really do. So that's kind of – I see a difference in those guys. I don't see them grouped together at how much they can help their team on the next level, especially immediately. So that's why I kind of bring it up in that context. Let me give you a little different context. He was Alabama Pro Day today. You got Mac Jones, of course, Najee Harris. Did you see that story? What a wild story. And I would think the NFL guys would love this. He couldn't get out of wherever he was flying in from, Louisiana or Texas, and couldn't get the flight. So he drove 9 hours. He wasn't even working out at his pro day. He drove 9 hours to be with his teammates. It says a lot about Najee Harris, I think. Easily could have been like, sorry, guys, I missed my flight. Can't get it. The weather's bad. Good luck. And so I think NFL guys are really going to like that little intangible right there with Najee Harris. But you have Najee Harris, you have Mac Jones, you have Devonta Smith, you have Patrick Surtain, who, by the way, ran a 4.42 today, and you have Forrestall, and keep naming them. all the Alabama guys, like 10 of them that might go in the first 3 rounds. If you could have one, who are you taking?
Out of all those guys?
For the Jags, by the way. So, you're not going to take Mac Jones, is my point. But if you can take any Alabama guy that's coming out this year, who are you taking?
What this roster looks like right now, you know how I feel about Christian Barmore, but, I mean, I don't know. This is a great question. To me, it comes down between Waddle and Devonta Smith. And don't call it a gut feeling or just, don't call it anything. I would take Jaylen Waddle over everybody.
Interesting.
Yeah.
A guy who hasn't played in a year, pretty much. Because
I think it's the guy who's most likely Tyreek Hill out of this draft.
That's, you know what? By the way, I could buy into what you're saying there. And again, it's not. I don't want this to come across like I'm a Devonta Smith hater. I'm not. I think he's going to be a really good football player. I just think he's been a little pushed up the draft board a little bit too high. And Waddle's a guy, I think if you ask people last year, before the injury, after the injury, he's a guy that hasn't budged much. I think he and Jamar Chase have been viewed as these special talents at the wide receiver position. I would not mind that. But isn't that wild? Couldn't you make the case for Devonta Smith? You could make the case for Waddle. You could make the case, who I like, right?
Smith?
Patrick Surtain.
Yeah, hello. Yeah, Patrick Surtain. Yeah, you love him, Patrick Surtain.
I mean, I think he's going to be.
It's turning into a Patrick Surtain podcast here, but yeah.
Well, yeah, I think he's going to be good. But now the Jags fill a void with Shaquille Griffin, and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make much sense, right? I mean, that wouldn't be a fit.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at this from the Jags' perspective, that doesn't make sense. Here's Barmore, right? You said.
Yeah.
That's a fit that makes sense. It still makes sense, even though the Jags beefed up, they could still get Young. What's really interesting here is the Najee Harris scout. If you read stuff on him, people will say he's actually better touted, better scouted coming out of college than Derrick Henry is or was. And if you look at what Henry's been able to do, they see Harris is a little bit more deadly from in the receiving game as well. It really makes you think twice. And I wonder if that helps slide him up the board a little bit, given what Derrick Henry has done in the NFL, and maybe even him being projected coming out of school better than Derrick Henry. I think Najee Harris is going to be really interesting to see where he goes in this draft and how high up in that first round potentially.
You know, And he is an intriguing receiving prospect as well. You know, it's not his forte per se. He's more of the power runner. But, I mean, the guy can catch the balls out of the backfield. But at the same time, and I understand Urban Meyer wasn't responsible for James Robinson. Really, none of these coaches were. But, you know, Najee Harris, there are some comparisons, I feel like, in running styles to James Robinson. I think Najee Harris might have him beat in a lot of areas. But I'm not going to turn my back on James Robinson after 1 year, especially that rookie year that he had. So, you know, if you get Najee Harris, then so be it. But to me, then you're kind of crowding the running back room with two of the same type of guy with Najee Harris, who probably has him edged out in terms of receiving capabilities. If I go running back, I'm going dynamic playmaker. I'm going home run threat. Not to say Najee Harris isn't that guy, but I want more explosiveness. No disrespect to him. So I think Najee Harris would probably be down more on my list. I would probably go Waddle first, then Devonta Smith. Then I would probably go Christian Barmore, and then I'd probably finish it off with Najee Harris.
I do think, listen, you got a lot to choose from when it comes to Alabama. So Alabama's having their pro day, and you got, in this context, I think it's a fascinating question, really. It's like, which receiver would you like? Would you like Najee Harris with pick 25 or 33? Would you like Barmore with pick 20? I mean, you could really have debates about a lot of these guys. And I think some of those players are fascinating to watch. I think there's a possibility Smith slips a little bit deeper down than people think. So he'll be an interesting first-round guy, although he'll never get by like number 15, 16, 17, something like that. He's not going to slip all the way down. I think Najee Harris is interesting to watch because of his production and what he was able to do at Alabama and what a guy like Henry has been able to do. And as you look at it, I think Barmore's interesting. Could he go into the second round, or is this guy coming to life and now everything that everybody expected him to be? And then I believe the ultimate guy in this draft that is going to be interesting to watch is from right here in Jacksonville, and that's Mac Jones. I think he is like the wild card of the first round. I could see Atlanta taking him. I could see Carolina taking him. I could see Washington taking him. I could see the Patriots taking him. I could see him slipping down into the 20s and somebody else taking him. I think Alabama's guys here are really interesting. They have a ton of them to choose from, Austin.
Yeah.
But I think they are some wild cards on where they're going to go in this first and potentially early second round.
Without a doubt. And it's a testament to, once again, the talent that Alabama puts in and year out. And that's something you have to remember, too, as well. Now, depending on the position, but usually if you get an Alabama guy in there, especially in the first round, they're probably going to contribute right away. Now, sometimes you can go back to the list and be like, it takes them a while to adjust a little bit. I'm reminded of Quinnen Williams, who I think his first year he had some problems, but now he's kind of getting situated there in New York. But usually when you bring an Alabama guy in that high of the first round or the second round, you got a pretty quality prospect, to say the least.
I'm thinking of Alabama guys the Jags have taken recently, and you got Ronnie Harrison. And, again, I think Ronnie Harrison's an okay player. It was a bad fit, didn't work out.
Yeah.
Cam Robinson's another one, and now here he is on the franchise tag. But it's not like these guys are Pro Bowlers.
T.J. Yeldon.
And T.J. Yeldon, yeah, kind of, yeah. Marcel Darius played, but he obviously wasn't drafted by the Jags.
No.
So it's not like Again, I mean, Alabama, it doesn't make you automatically a Pro Bowler because you played at Alabama. It's just not the way it works in the NFL.
Well, I think you feel better about Alabama guys than Florida Gators besides Kyle Pitts right now if you're a Jacksonville Jaguars fan.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think that's fair. There's just no can't miss is the point at any program in the country, even as good as Alabama is. Let's take a time out. We talk more football. How much better did the Jags get in free agency? That's on the topic list, and it's on the way on Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 SportsCenter update.
Happy Tuesday. I'm Jake Mitchell. Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is facing 6 more lawsuits from just yesterday, bringing a grand total of 13 being filed since last week. One of those suits alleging an incident earlier this month. Mike McCann, legal analyst for Sportico, says even if Watson is found innocent, the damage is already done.
Yeah, there's still damage to his reputation. Just the accusation alone, being accused of sexual assault. Now, that doesn't mean his sponsors are going to cut him. I don't think they would take that step unless there's real evidence, unless these complaints advance. I think they'll be very cautious in that because, let's face it, other athletes are going to be watching.
In March Madness news, the Florida State Seminoles have moved on to the Sweet 16 by toppling the 5th-seeded Colorado Buffalo, 71-53. SportsCenter update is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
CGC Water has been telling you if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Still not a believer? Well, you can believe me. My family has been a happy CGC Water customer for 4 years now. Customer service is tremendous. We got our water tested. We were told about our options in financing in detail. No pressure, just information. Installation was quick, and the CGC team was there every step of the way. And we absolutely love it because it works. Heck, I even think my coffee tastes better because of it. And I love my coffee. A Kinetico system from CGC Water removes up to 99% of contaminants. That's clean. Schedule your free water test today and ask how you can save up to $500. CGC is still taking extra precautions with in-home visits and continuing to follow CDC guidelines. Financing available with approved credit. Call 904-552-1242 for details or visit cgcwater.com. Serving Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Kinetico dealer. Smoked for hours, served in minutes. Now that sounds like good barbecue, and it is at Willie Jewell's in St. Augustine at Mirabella Crossing. Open 7 days a week. It's old school barbecue. Trivia night on Monday. Kids eat free on Wednesdays. Check out the Willie Jewell's app and catering for all events. Voted best wings in St. Augustine as well. Visit williejewels.com and visit Willie Jewell's at Mirabella Crossing in St. Augustine. Old school barbecue, smoked for hours, served in minutes. At Willie Jewell's.
Join the movement to end colon cancer. March to Get Screened is celebrating its 12th year supporting colon cancer awareness and life-saving screenings. Held on March 28th, March to Get Screened is a family affair including a 5K race, a 1-mile fun run, and fun activities for all. Safety measures will be in place as well as virtual participation options. All proceeds benefit the nonprofit Borland Groover Foundation. Register today, donate, or for more information, head to marchtogetscreened.com. That's marchtogetscreened.com.
For the ones finding new ways to ensure the job always gets done. For the ones wearing many hats. For the ones who are hands-on, even from far away. And the ones keeping business moving forward. We are Grainger, offering supplies and solutions for every industry, with 24/7 support and experienced staff at over 250 local branches. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
Leave your sister alone. You're ready to get back into yoga, so you order the essentials. A non-slip mat, yoga blocks to keep balance, and an exercise ball. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential yoga gear. Noise-canceling headphones.
Welcome. Take a deep breath.
Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope, and you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talent Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talent Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000. Or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Hope you catch the show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. But if you can't catch it, or if you want to go back and listen again, check out the Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 podcast. Just search ESPN 690 in your podcast app.
You're forcing them up because of not only desperation, it's the most important position, not only in football, but in all sports. Without quarterback, what are you going to do? You're spinning your wheels. So to me, that's why we see quarterbacks going much higher than they should. By that I mean, Greeny, they're not ranked as high as they're going. So when you're picking, say, fourth in the draft, you would hope you get a quarterback, or a player, I should say, that's in your top four on your board. Well, no, you can make that happen by any way you want to put the board together, but in reality, you're not getting one of the four best players. You're getting maybe the 8th, 9th, 10th best player. But since it's a quarterback, you're okay with that. Where you wouldn't be okay with that had it be a player, would it be a player in another position? So to me, that's going to happen every year. These quarterbacks are, I think, a little bit more justifiable high picks because of the talent they bring to the position.
That is Mel Kiper. We'll talk a little bit about his latest mock draft coming up here on Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. He just said something at the end, which I agree with. I feel like Mel's been saying that for years. Quarterbacks are overvalued, overhyped, all that stuff. Yeah, I get it. That's true. But this year, I'm not so sure. I think these guys might legitimately be the best players in the draft, and I think Trevor Lawrence, you could make the case, is the best player in the draft. Zach Wilson, maybe he is. Justin Fields, maybe he is. Now, listen, Kyle Pitts could be in that conversation. There could be other players in that conversation. But I think you can make the case, more so than it seems like in the last handful of years, 10 years, and maybe even beyond, that this set of guys versus the field is going to be picked probably where they should be picked. I don't know how you feel about that, Austin.
Well, let me go and ask you this. This past season of college football, it was different. Obviously with COVID-19 and all that stuff, but the season just felt different. All of a sudden, defense was not a priority anymore, even in the SEC, right? Everyone's scoring points. It is what it is. Does that make you nervous a little bit that you're coming off a season in college football where, points were just everywhere? I mean, every team was putting up points. Quarterbacks are having some of their best stats they've ever had. Does that make you nervous now going into the NFL where obviously the defenses get upgraded, the skill level gets upgraded, and you're basing your numbers on that quarterback where you draft him possibly on an anomaly of a season that was just crazy in itself?
That's a good question, man. I do think you are not going to see NFL caliber defenses in college. And I don't even mean from the talent level. I just mean from the friction level. You're just not going to get a ton of resistance. I mean, Alabama, who's been so good, their defense we didn't even really talk about last year. Because their offense was so good. So if you make this crazy dynamic offense, then who cares about defense? Now, Florida Gator fans would say, can you give me some defense? Just a little bit. So I get your point is on, and, speaking to that, there is a Kyle Trask. Is he falling into that category, where he put up such gaudy numbers and people say, yeah, but was it legit or was it because nobody was playing defense? I don't know, Austin. I feel like college football is somewhat in line with the NFL in this respect. Offense is king, and you better be able to score. Now, I think you're always going to be able to score more in college. I think there is less resistance and friction and defense in college. So I do think you have to weigh that. And that's why so many people and even the critics want to put more emphasis on Trevor Lawrence's games in the Final Four against better defenses, right? So I think that does exist, but I don't know if that's just a last year thing. I feel like we've been trending that way, and it will be interesting to see how people get graded out based on just this offensive frenzy in college football.
For sure. That was a very fast break.
Yeah, that was a quick one. But it's a good point. Like I don't know how you evaluate that. You have to evaluate what you've got. It's like people who argue, well, look at their schedule. It's like, okay, they won though. They that's the schedule they had to play, and they won. You know, it's got a little bit of that to it.
No, for sure. But I'm just saying, when you talk about the most important position in football, and you try to evaluate all that talent on a year that was an anomaly, like that question has to come into play a little bit. Like, listen, like from a wide receiver perspective or defensive end perspective, it's like, oh yeah, these guys are good. They jump out on film. From the quarterback position, it's a little different. And I wonder if there's some scouts that are saying, all right, we like Mac Jones a lot, but this was a really weird year. Defenses were down all across the table. How much stake we put in these quarterbacks?
Yeah.
And it's the reason why you don't hear a lot about Trey Lance, because why? Trey Lance didn't play against this year, against these defenses, and we haven't seen a lot of sample sizes last season.
Well, just to echo your point, up until Patrick Mahomes and now even Baker Mayfield, I said this about the Big 12 for years. Guys are running wide open. How do you evaluate that quarterback? He's throwing to air.
Yeah.
There's no defenders in sight.
Yeah.
And and now everybody's doing that. So I think it's a fair point. Maybe there is a bigger missed probability. We got to take a break. We'll be back live from Eagle Landing Golf Club out here at Oakleaf Plantation here on a Tuesday on Action Sports Jags on ESPN 690.
Life is complicated. We all know it, and all can use the proper support system. You know what else can be complicated? Owning a home. And that's why Rex was built to go beyond the simple real estate transaction. Full-service agents for buying and selling, mortgage services, insurance quotes, escrow and title, even home repair, all one call away. I guess you could call Rex your home support system and not a typical brokerage. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. Want more? Of course you do. With all that convenience comes reduced fees too. In fact, the average Rex homeowner saves over $10,000 when buying and selling a home. Want to get started? It's never too soon. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. 833-739-4663. Florida license number CQ1057788. For further licensing disclosures, please visit rexhomes.com.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
There is a taste of the islands in every drop of Vida de Luis tequila, imported directly from Tequila, Mexico to Jacksonville Beach. Vida de Luis is the only locally owned tequila in Jax Beach. Support local and try Vida de Luis. Award-winning, smooth, all natural, no aldehydes or additives, which means wake up feeling good the next morning. Find out where you can pick up a bottle of Vida de Luis, Blanco, Reposado, or Añejo. Just visit VitaDeLuis.com. Support local and taste the islands in every drop.
Injuries on the job can cause you to lose control. I'm Glenn Levine from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. Money is not coming in and your medical bills are piling up. Our legal team is here to help. We can help you file all your workers' compensation claims to make sure you get the proper benefits you're entitled to. If you've been injured on the job, call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Office in Jackson. surprisingly comfortable with the offers in the marketplace, which include young players and first-round pick combos. Oladipo interested in joining the Heat or Knicks. New York certainly would benefit from adding Oladipo, notes ESPN's Vince Carter.
Oladipo will be a great complement to that roster and to Julius Randle. You could play him at the point guard. He's played some point guard. Obviously, he's a scorer. He can score. He's been an all-star. So he knows what it takes and can fulfill that role. So I think the Knicks is one stop for him that could possibly make a little noise for him.
Stay tuned to ESPN Radio for the latest developments leading up to Thursday's trade deadline. Pelicans guard Lonzo Ball with a hip strain, questionable tonight against the Lakers. 7 Eastern, ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Warriors guard Steph Curry out a third straight game tonight against the Sixers due to a tailbone contusion. NFL Steelers unable to find a trade partner, released corner Steve Nelson. He is the 5th defensive starter the team has lost this offseason.
What? Just 15 seconds to talk about Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea? That smooth taste of real brewed iced tea with just the right kick of alcohol? What? We started already? Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Look for it in the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
Nothing, because I won't watch it. I could care less. You know,
I love it, Mel.
Pro days to me, I'll give you some evidence to justify a rant about pro days, okay?
Okay.
Jamarcus Russell, according to our Todd McShay, my good friend Todd, had the best pro day ever, right? Peyton Manning may have had the worst pro day ever. Bouncing passes, wobbly balls, GMs rolling their eyes. If it was Peyton Jones, not Peyton Manning, it'd be a third-round pick. I've heard all this garbage and nonsense for 43 years now. So I learned after all that to say, really, pro days?
That is Mel Kiper. And you know what? I kind of agree with him. I agree with Mel there. I think the pro days are a little overblown. They're manufactured. I think you said that too, Austin, right? I mean, these guys are set up for such success. Mm-hmm. You're not really putting them in a tough situation. The combine feels a little bit different in some of these measurables just because of the pressure of it all.
Yeah, the combine's different because you're going on like 5 hours of sleep a night. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
true.
You're not 100%. Like any guy that goes on that field in Indianapolis, they do not feel 100%. I don't care how much, recovery stuff you've done. I don't care how much stretching and yoga and all that good stuff you've done, how much foam rolling. You are not 100% because mentally you're just exhausted. And that's what teams want to see. Teams want to see you behind the 8 ball, under pressure, and see how you perform with that. Some guys run 4.3s and some guys run 4.84s like I did, which is a little bit of a disappointment to me. But it is what it is. From the pro day, it's all they have this year. So you do what you have to do. Now, pro days, and I'm not going to snitch on anybody, but I have it on good authority that there might be a couple universities out there when they run their 40-yard dashes, they actually run it downhill a little bit, and then it makes I'm not even lying, and that gives them faster times. I have that on really good authority from a few high-profile players, let's just say, from a few high-profile college football programs. Now maybe they changed it, but all I know is back in 2010, there was a couple universities, not going to say their names. But when they ran the 40-yard dash, it was done in a place where it seemed to be a little downhill to the player's advantage. At 40 times, they're exciting, right? Like I'm seeing all over Twitter, go get the guy from Purdue. These guys running 4.2s, 4.3s. Go get this guy. Go get this guy. Like we've been over this before. I think we talked about it yesterday a little bit. There's football speed and there's track speed. Now, if Tyreek Hill runs a 4.3, then yeah, he's probably got good football speed as well, right? I can say John Ross I think he's from Washington, breaks the record, goes to Cincinnati, and nobody ever really hears of him again, right? So there's football speed and there's track speed. But the big thing about the pro days is no, you can't mimic the combine. You can't put those players in bad situations and put them under pressure because they're designed to succeed. But what you can do is see a lot from the drills. And to me, that's what I would take out of these pro days, is taking these guys through the drills, taking them those guys through NFL-style drills and see how they learn, number one, and see how they perform those drills, number two.
Yeah, and that's we discuss this each and every year. Like, what could you do to make it better? There might be some modifications coming. It feels like there's momentum for that to potentially happen. We'll see if that is the case sometime soon. And like, what is the value? You know, it's funny. You said, I think maybe it was the cone drill or the shuttle drill. Like you said, hey, that might be more valuable than the 40 time. And then you just bring up the reference, though, of DK Metcalf, who doesn't run a great shuttle or cone or whatever it was. And then, boom, look what he is. So yeah. It really it's not an exact science like the rest of it. But it's just funny how we do get excited about these 40 times, how much you bench, some of these other things, what you look like throwing the football, and most of it is pretty crafted to benefit the player. And by the way, I don't fault them for that. That's just the system. But you wonder how much longer the system will be in place the way it is, or do we go to some different kind of testing along the way? Kuz, I got the camera back up and running, so it might pop in and out a little bit. We're out here at Oakleaf Plantation. So some of the service area, at least right where I am, is not sometimes keeps clicking on and off. There was a great freeze frame, though, just moments ago, Kuz. I don't know if you caught that. I made sure I took a picture of it. It was like I was taking a sip of water, and it was like I was taking a sip of water for like 5 minutes straight.
Just chugging it.
I was chugging.
64 ounces.
It's like, have you finished this 12-ounce bottle of water yet?
For sure.
So anyway, we'll work on this stream a little bit. We are out here at Eagle Landing Golf Club, and the stream is playing fits on me a little bit, but I think as long as the audio is good, that should be good. You shouldn't be looking at me the entire time, although if you looked at the background, you'd see a beautiful 9th and 18th hole right behind me. Eagle Landing Golf Club, really one of the best kept secrets in Jacksonville if you love to play golf especially. Great for facilities, hosting large golf outings or small golf groups with a clubhouse that can cater to any food and beverage need or desire. I'm outside on the back patio right now. Clubhouse is right in front of me. They have recently completed some capital projects: fairway bunker rehab, greenside bunker rehab, driving range rehab, cart path and curbing project, extensive landscape, clubhouse improvements, banquet room, outside patio dining. So come over and check it out, Eagle Landing Golf Club. Thanks to Jim Hahn and his staff for having us out. We'll get to talk to him a little bit about what they're doing. They, like everybody else, having record rounds over the last year. They get a ton of play out this way. So I say it's best kept secret, although people are finding it, and it's tremendous value. So check it out, and you can also find it on our Dream 18 card. Discounted golf right here at Eagle Landing Golf Club. Just go to ESPN690.com. Brent Martineau here, Austin Lane, back in the Action Sports Shack studios. Austin, how much better are the Jags after free agency?
I mean, they're better on defense for sure, obviously. Yeah, I mean, they're a better team. Now, that's not to say much because they're coming off of 1-15 year. But I would say astronomically better, especially on that defensive line.
So it's hard to do this in football especially. Do you think that defense now makes them a couple of wins better?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's hard to say because we got to see what this team looks like the final product looks like with all these new coaches and Urban Meyer being his first coaching experience. Like, there's a lot that's going to go into this season. If we just go off of paper, yeah, I think they've added, realistically right now, probably 3 to 4 more wins just on the free agency alone. Now, Trevor Lawrence still has to be the guy. I mean, there's still a lot of pieces that got to fall into place. But if you're asking me right now, free agency, how many wins did they add? I'm going to say 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's interesting because then if you add Trevor Lawrence and say even in his rookie season he's good for a couple more wins, I mean, that could be substantial if you're right. And I know this is tough we're predicting here, but I do feel like the Jags got a lot better depth-wise on defense and also just plug in some holes. Like, I feel so much better about their secondary with the 2 additions that they made. I feel better in part because they love it so much. But I do feel better with what they did on the defensive front. And I'll tell you this, overall, I still come back to this point, and I don't really think enough people are talking about it. They're going from one of the youngest football teams in the National Football League to a team that is a bit seasoned now. Still young in spots, but a team that is seasoned around what will be a young face of the franchise in Trevor Lawrence. I think that's worth something, Austin. I think the fact that they got older, wiser, can handle some adversity, can handle the adjustments, the newness of Urban Meyer, I think that will pay dividends. I don't know how many wins, but I do think it will help them.
Yeah, what this comes down to is, can Urban Meyer, can he bring the culture that he had at Ohio State and Florida, and can that translate to the NFL level? Now, it's going to be different. We already know that. He's not going to have the same college mentality that he's had. He's going to tailor-make it for the NFL. The biggest question going forward is, can that work? Can his philosophies about football, can his coaching style, can that translate to those players in that locker room, number one, and then can that correlate to wins? I think it can, but once again, I'm going to have to see it. The proof is in the pudding right now, right? And we're not even at the appetizer round yet. So once preseason starts, once training camp starts, we can see a better look of it. I think he can do it, but there's still a lot of questions to ask.
Yeah, I think so too. You saw a power poll where the Jaguars were, 30th in the NFL after free agency?
Yeah, Sports Illustrated put out the NFL power rankings. I can bring those up real quick here. Let me look them up.
Well, you got to figure they were 32 to begin with, right? They're the worst team in the NFL last year.
Yeah, I mean,
them and the Jets.
Shout out to the Houston Texans for really dropping the ball.
Are the Texans now number 32?
I believe so, yeah. Let me bring those up quick. Sorry, man. I didn't know we're going these right now. I got them right here, though. We're good.
Don't be sorry. Just I'll talk. You fine.
Hey, it's all good. We got them right here. So, yeah, 32, Houston Texans, 31, Cincinnati Bengals, number 30, the Jacksonville Jaguars, 29, the Raiders, 28, the Detroit Lions, and so on. I mean, do you want me to go through the whole list?
No. Do it again. Do the back 5 again.
32, Houston Texans, 31, Cincinnati Bengals, 30, Jacksonville Jaguars, 29, Las Vegas Raiders, 28, Detroit Lions, 27, Philadelphia Eagles.
Huh. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue much about it. You can't make too much of an argument, I guess.
Here's a statement. Urban Meyer made some big moves in free agency, his free agency debut, but doesn't officially have Trevor Lawrence yet. So the Jaguars will exist in power rankings limbo until that happens. In all seriousness, Shaq Griffin was one of the better signings of the period and gives Jacksonville the chance to start building a formidable young secondary.
Yeah, interesting. I saw something with Cincinnati that I think somebody had them mocked. I don't know who, the latest mock draft, that they could get Kyle Pitts. If you're Cincinnati, how crazy would that be to go get Kyle Pitts, a weapon for Joe Burrow, instead of potentially Penei Sewell for Joe Burrow?
Hang on, you're going in and out a little bit here. You're saying what happens if Kyle Pitts goes to Cincinnati?
Yes, instead of Penei Sewell, if that were if you had the option for both.
Yeah, listen. Joe Burrow tore his ACL last year, right? He tore, I think, everything in his leg last year because of your offensive line. I get Kyle Pitts could be the next great tight end, and those are rare. But at the same time, I don't know, what does it say about how you feel about your quarterback if you don't address maybe the biggest need right now, even more than tight end on that team? And that's offensive line help, and that's keeping Joe Burrow upright. So I get the risk there for Cincinnati. But if I'm that coaching staff, I'm taking a very long look at offensive line, because it doesn't matter if you have Kyle Pitts. If Joe Burrow's not healthy enough to throw him the ball, what does it matter? So I'm probably going to focus more on offensive line.
Yeah, I would almost think that's a weird thing, right? I think most people around the NFL, if you got Kyle Pitts, would be excited. It's Cincinnati. I just saw this in a mock, and I'm like thinking of the scenario. If they got Kyle Pitts, I think they'd almost be disappointed. Because so many people are vying for that offensive line, and Sewell, who's supposed to be this can't-miss guy, and to protect Joe Burrow, they don't want to see that happen again. That I would still think they'd be pretty excited about the prospects of that, because it's just a sexier pick, rather than an offensive lineman. But I do think there's some genuine nature to that Cincinnati fan wants to help Joe Burrow and get better on that offensive line before they do anything else.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard to justify. I mean, it's not like the fan base really matters in terms of, general manager decisions. But I think it's going to be hard to justify to fans, to Joe Burrow, to that entire team. If you say, okay, we like Kyle Pitts. He's dynamic. He could be a game changer, but you're not going to address the biggest need on your team in an offensive line. Like it's hard to look Joe Burrow in the face. I think it's hard to look that team in the face. I think they address offensive line. They need to. They got to keep Joe Burrow upright. That's the most important thing right now in Cincinnati. It's not scoring touchdowns. You have a pretty dynamic offense as it is. You got Mixon. T. Higgins looks like he's kind of the next big thing there. You know, Tyler Boyd is one of the better slot guys. Just asked my fantasy football team. You lose A.J. Green, but what does that really say? Tight end, yeah, it's probably a need, but not as big as a need as offensive line is.
Yeah, so it'll be I just think that's a fascinating discussion point. As I look at the other teams in the NFL, and I'm looking at how much the Jaguars are getting better, because really there was only one way up on this elevator, one way to go on this elevator, and that is up. And so they naturally get a little bit better and improve themselves on defense, especially in free agency. They are naturally going to improve themselves automatically by getting Trevor Lawrence, one would think. And then whatever else they do, you'll feel pretty good about a couple of things, and you'll probably scratch your head about a couple of other things. And then you add Urban Meyer to the mix. I just think about all the teams in the NFL, Austin, from 1 to 32, by the time the season rolls around, if you add in what they've been able to do in free agency, Trevor Lawrence, Urban Meyer, I don't know if there's another team that could have bettered itself anymore. And again, with the knowledge that there was only one way this elevator was going, and that was up naturally. But it could be a pretty significant step, depending on how much you believe in Urban, how much you believe in Trevor, and then how much you believe in the draft and the free agency moves. But it could be a giant step better compared to the last time they were on the field in December.
Let me ask you this. According to these power rankings right now, the Jets, who, were the second worst team last year, they're at 25 right now after free agency. Do you buy that?
Yeah, you know what? I'm okay with that. I think the Jets have gotten a lot better. I think the Jets, and still with an unknown at what they're going to do at quarterback, I like Robert Saleh a lot. So this is a good example, okay, that just to make sure I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, not putting my President of the Sunshine Rainbows hat on down here, I think I like the move that the Jags made with Urban. I like the move that the Jets made with Saleh. In fact, I was a big advocate for Saleh here in Jacksonville as well. So I think instantaneously they got better at the head coaching position, and I think they're going to start to establish something there in New York, because I think Saleh is going to be a rock star. I really do. We'll hold off on the quarterback because we don't know what the heck they're doing. But if you look at what they have done in free agency to get themselves better, where they're going to draft or what capital they'll receive in a trade, who they could get in a trade, maybe a Deshaun Watson type, I think it's significant to say that the Jags, who were 1-15, the Jets, who 2-14, they did have the only way to go was up, but they both will take significant steps, in my opinion, and maybe two of the bigger steps, even more than anybody else in the NFL, of jumping up to that next level of better since the last time they were on the field.
For sure.
Do you like the Jets and what they've done as much as I do?
Yeah, I think we look at the free agent signings. They addressed a lot of needs. You know how I feel about Corey Davis. I think overall, if you're asking me who had the better, free agency, the Jets or the Jaguars, I think it's very comparable. Now, once again, the quarterback position will make all the difference in New York. But yeah, I think it's two teams, like you said, that were, the essentially the dumpster fire of the NFL last year that can really make some momentum now coming in this new season.
Who else could even be in the conversation, man? I'm trying to think of a team that's maybe middle of the pack that could then get there. Like the Giants. Do you feel like the Giants did a lot of things, right? They went and got Galladay. They signed Leonard Williams. Who else did they add?
Let's see here. Yeah, they mentioned Galladay. They got Kyle Rudolph. I'm not sure why they're bringing that up. They got Kyle Rudolph and Kenny Galladay. Were the big signings, supposedly.
Oh, they got Rudolph, too? Well, they got Leonard Williams. They signed him
Leonard Williams.
A deal. I thought there was a third player that they added as well, other than Kyle Rudolph, but maybe that's not the case. How about a team like Washington? Could they go from a team that, quite frankly, didn't have a record that probably should have made the playoffs, but ends up winning the NFC East, add to a defense that's already good? Can they add enough offensively between free agency, the draft, and make that next step? So you see where I'm going with it. Like, it doesn't have to be a bottom feeder team. It doesn't have to be a one-win team that makes the biggest leap.
Yeah.
I think you could make the case, a team like the Giants potentially, if Daniel Jones hits, a team like Washington, a team like Arizona. If J.J. Watt works out, if A.J. Green works out. Who else did they sign? Didn't they sign a center? Was it Alex Mack or something?
Yeah.
So if those moves work out, maybe they're the ones that take that big leap. So there are other teams in this conversation, not just the Jets.
I think if we're talking about the team that can possibly make the biggest leap, and I seem to do this every single year, and I'm just dumb and a glutton for punishment, it appears, but I think the Minnesota Vikings could take a step forward for the simple reason where if they don't play defense this year, I think Mike Zimmer might actually punch somebody like on that team, and he might get like obviously thrown out of the league, because there's no way a Mike Zimmer coach team is going to be that bad on defense a second year in a row. Like two things are going to happen: he's going to lose his mind, he's going to walk away, or he's getting the job done. But I have a hard time saying like the Minnesota Vikings are going to be one of the worst teams on defense again this up and coming season. So if you include that with a guy like the emergence of Justin Jefferson, you still have Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook if he can stay healthy, and the up and down, the trials and tribulations of the Kirk Cousins story. I think if you put all those pieces into play from where they finished last year, I think that they can probably make some momentum going into this season.
Yeah, here's where it's interesting in this conversation. What you want to say is like, well, look at every team signed this guy and this guy and this guy, and look how much better they got. Well, it's harder for the teams that are already at the top to get even better, right?
Yeah.
What does Kansas City have to do to get better? I think they looked like, with the tackles being gone, and then they make some acquisitions like, okay, that's pretty nice. I think that's a good recovery. So there are ways to go, and they're probably going to be good, but are they going to be better? That's debatable. I think a team like the Patriots is really interesting here. Because what people are going to say is, hey, the Patriots went out and spent a lot of money. They got these two tight ends. They got this guy, this guy, this guy. They're going to be way better. I'm not sure that's the case, Austin. They went 7-9 last year. How much better are they going to be record-wise in 2021 with Cam Newton as of now as their quarterback? I'm not convinced they're going to be that much better.
So right now the Patriots are at number 9 in the power rankings, which is a little surprising.
What number?
9.
My gosh,
and the
pedigree.
And then
SI likes pedigree.
Yeah, and then the Vikings are 21, which is, I don't know, I guess 21's fine for the Vikings, but they did get Dalvin Tomlinson, who obviously I was a big fan of. They also got Patrick Peterson as well. So their defense on paper looks a lot better than it did last year already. I think with the Patriots, it comes down to quarterback. Is there a plan in place? Do they plan on rolling out Cam Newton? I have a hard time believing that. I feel like Bill Belichick's got another ace up his sleeve here, because to sit here and say you're going to get Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry and have Cam Newton throw in the bug. Cam Newton showed us last year what he's capable of. Okay? I had Julian Edelman in fantasy for about 5 weeks till I cut him because it was horrible. So it always comes down to the quarterback position. If there's a plan in place, then yeah, I'm still a believer of the Patriots. How can I not be? Because it's Bill Belichick. Okay? Say what you want about him. The guy finds ways to win with a roster that's less talented than this one probably right now. But it comes down to the quarterback position. I think if Cam Newton's going to be slated to be the starter again, I'll be honest, I'm off the Cam Newton bandwagon. I'm not really a believer anymore of him being a legit starting quarterback in the NFL from what I saw last season. Now, maybe the guy proves me wrong. Maybe he's still got some stuff left in the tank. I'm just saying the brand of football that I saw last year from the Patriots quarterback, it just wasn't that good.
It's the beauty of every sport, really, in the offseason. Most people believe they got better in the offseason. Most. Not all the time, but most. And then we get to the real season and we figure out who was right and who was wrong. Jaguars have been on the short end of that stick many a times over the last dozen years. Hopefully this year will be different. We are live at Eagle Landing Golf Club, one of the best kept secrets here in Jacksonville. Come on out, Oak Leaf Plantation, play some golf. What an awesome golf course. Greens were rolling fantastic. You can get a discount with the Dream 18 card. All you got to do is purchase it on ESPN690.com. Get ready. Shock Your Mock season rolls on. Are you ready, Austin Lane?
Born ready.
All right, we'll do it when we come back. Shock Your Mock next on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly sunny and milder today. Highs in the low to mid-70s, cooler at the beaches, dropping into the mid-50s tonight. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 and Fox 30. Action News Jax from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm TV meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where right now you can get 5 years, zero-interest financing with nothing down.
They just don't make them like they used to. People say that a lot, and sometimes it's true, but not for air conditioners. Manufacturers actually make them better than they used to. It's just that local AC companies don't install them like they ought to. Old school rules of thumb and yesterday's shortcuts simply sabotage new school systems. Can new technology give you more comfort with longer service life? Only if the AC tech knows how to properly engineer it for your home and how to install it right. So techs that don't understand inverters, low voltage controls, and how to configure the software, dip switches, and refrigerant charge for Florida humidity, they'll totally turn it into turd buckets, especially if they just do a swap the box install without fixing your ductwork and airflow. My point, the better the technology, the more important the install. At Griffith Service, we fix what others can't, but it's best to have us install it right from the beginning. So if your new system ain't working right or your old one needs replacing, call
GriffinService.com.
1250-697.
Beard's Diamond's most exciting offer is back for a limited time.
0% financing for 5 years. Plus, get zero down.
It's the sale smart jewelry shoppers wait for.
You get Beard's already low prices.
But then you get to spread your payments out for 60 months with no money down.
But hurry, this incredible finance opportunity won't last long.
How about a $6,000 Decory or Veragio ring?
You pay just $100 a month.
Or a pair of $3,000 stud earrings.
You pay just $50 a month.
And every purchase at Beard's Diamonds is backed by our free lifetime warranty.
Now's the time to get her that designer setting she's been dreaming about and spread your payments out for 5 years.
Find your total price by 60, and that's all you'll pay per month.
Don't miss out on the best deal of the year. 0% financing for 5 years. Plus, get zero down on everything in the store.
Beard's Diamonds at the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville guaranteed at Beard's Diamonds.
Got a business trip, long weekend, or maybe you just really want to try that new Toyota before you buy it? Then get it all when you rent a Toyota from Arlington Toyota. With easy online reservations and rental rates as low as $19.95 a day, there's nothing stopping you from hitting the open road. You can even rent 2021 models. Rent a Toyota from Arlington Toyota. Try it before you buy it and reserve your rental online at arlingtontoyota.com today.
Injuries on the job can cause you to lose control. I'm Glenn Levine from the law offices of Anajar and Levine. Money is not coming in and your medical bills are piling up. Our legal team is here to help. We can help you file all your workers' compensation claims to make sure you get the proper benefits you're entitled to. If you've been injured on the job, call the law offices of Anajar and Levine at 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000 for a free consultation and take back control of your life.
Office in Jacksonville.
No matter what you are driving, you can step up to luxury now at any of the Fields Auto Group dealerships in Jacksonville. Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. So whatever you're driving, see Fields first and step up to luxury for less during this amazing opportunity. Visit fieldsauto.com.
How do you measure the depth of your sadness? What number of arguments is too many? How do you count your sleepless nights? Don't. Count on DuPont Counseling Group at Jewish Family and Community Services instead. Our professional counselors can assist with everything from depression to relationships to children's issues. Trust DuPont Counseling Group to help you navigate life's challenges better. Jewish Family and Community Services. Here for mental health. Here for Jax. Learn more at hereforjax.com.
Is your home not feeling very new anymore? Sick of that pink bathroom tile, popcorn ceilings, a stove older than you are? Whether it's repairs or reno, finance it smart with a Honeydew HELOC from 1-to-1 Financial, Jacksonville's hometown credit union, where you can borrow up to 90% of your home's appraised value. You've got good taste, but your block counters ain't cheap. So get to work and open a Honeydew HELOC with 1-to-1 Financial. When you do, we'll send you a free handyman tool set to get started. Apply online at 121fcu.org. Federally insured by NCAA.
The March to Get Screened 5K, sponsored by the Borland Groover Foundation, is coming up March 28th. It's Rich Jones. Join me to raise funds for colon cancer awareness, life-saving screenings, and more. Check it all out at marchtogetscreened.com.
ESPN 690 is home for the Florida Sportsman Fishing Show, hosted by Captain Rick Riles. Tune in every Saturday morning from 7 to 9 a.m. to find out what's biting now. Fishing so fresh, you can almost smell it.
In Florida, it's not if the storms are coming, it's when the storms are coming. And that's why you need the Chief. Jacksonville's chief meteorologist, Mike Burrish, with a proven track record of keeping local families safe. Rain, heat, hurricanes, flooding, tornadoes. We get it all. Just more reasons why you need the Chief. Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish. Backed by the First Alert Weather Team. Only on CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax.
Hey, everybody, this is Brent Martineau. If you're usually listening to ESPN 690 in your car, we appreciate it. But your boss says you're working from home this week, so take us with you. Your smart speaker brings ESPN 690 into your home office. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
How many push-ups did you do in 3 minutes? Did you try the challenge?
Austin Lane.
I don't need lactic acid build up when I'm in fight camp. Brent, you kidding me? Take my word for it. More than you.
Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
I'm taking Zach Wilson. I'm moving on from Sam Darnold, and candidly, I don't think it's a hard decision. If we had Sean McDermott on this call with us and he was looking at it as a defensive coach, he would tell us it's a lot harder to defend somebody like Zach Wilson than Sam Darnold. And look, Sam Darnold's done some good things. I think he's been in a really hard situation. I think he would benefit from a fresh start. But I think, to me, the better football player is Zach Wilson.
I think that's Mike Tannenbaum, who we had on a couple of weeks ago here on the show.
Yep. Called me a high-character guy.
He did. He did.
After I got arrested twice right before the...
I was going to say, no wonder why he's an analyst.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that Eau Claire Police Department kept things under wraps, but I doubt it. That's all I'm going to say about it.
How much did you have to pay?
A lot of tears, Brent. I paid in tears. Let's just
How
say.
much do you think goes unfound in that regard? Like in little small town Texas, that some guy had a DUI or some guy had a fight in a bar or whatever it might be, but the teams never find it.
No, if teams want to know, teams are going to find out. I think I've shared this story before when we first started the show, might have been, and I'm not going to diverge this player's name just because, I mean, it's not right. But I will say a guy that I trained with in my combine preparation, I'm not gonna say even where he's from or anything like that, but his situation was he was a primetime talent, but he had some off the field issues. Okay. In high school and also in college. Well, where we were training at in Pensacola, they had private investigators that would go to like restaurants that we ate at, because we all hung out together. They would go to restaurants where he ate at and ask him like what he was like to the waitresses and things like that. Like they're like kind of tailing us, if you will, just to find out about this guy. Yeah, and the reason why we know that was because we went to this restaurant, and they're like, "Hey, there's this guy who was talking about you," and you were like, "What do you mean?" And he brought the player's name. It's like, "Oh yeah, that's just some PI some teams send to try to do their due diligence on me a little bit." So like, teams will. I mean, if they're gonna invest in you, they're gonna do their due diligence. Come hell or high water and find out everything about you.
Now, listen, did you think overall your time with that guy that he would be a good NFL guy, good teammate, or did you see any red flags? Like if you were just by your time hanging around.
So I'll be honest. And once again, I mean, I can tell you who he was off there, but I'm not gonna throw his business out there like that.
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. I'll be honest. I was surprised of the past that he came from, because to me he was actually a real cool, even-headed type of dude. And just a real hard worker. Didn't really say that much. I guess he kind of just came from a rough upbringing and hanging on kind of like the wrong crowd or a little bit, and that's still on him, right? You're only as good as the people that you surround yourself with. So he got into trouble, maybe some of the people that he hung out with or whatever. But I will say in the NFL, I don't recall seeing any problems with him, and he actually had a pretty long career, if I'm not mistaken. Now, don't quote me on that. But I think when it's all said and done, he might have played 6 or 7 years. So he actually had a pretty good NFL career.
And up until those final tidbits of information that you gave us, I was really thinking this was Tebow you were talking about.
Yeah, all those kids that he met at Bible camp or whatever, some real rough around the edges type of cats.
Private investigators. Hey, it's an interesting thing, though. I understand what you're saying. People are going to go to the nth degree to figure it out and try to get it right.
Yeah.
But then there are situations that you ask yourself, why didn't they check into that? Did they just ignore that? But they did check into that. And Justin Blackmon again comes to mind. There has been criticism of the Jags in hindsight where you could have seen this coming from Justin Blackmon if you just poked around a little bit where he had been. How true that is, I don't know. But that has been the thought by some, that if they had done a little more homework, they would have seen this potential.
Yeah.
And you still run risks, and sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't. But for everyone that does do it, there are some that don't do it enough. And they make the wrong choice, and they make a bad pick, and you maybe could have seen it coming down the road if you did a little more homework.
See, no, I definitely agree with it. You know, I think when it comes to evaluating talent, sometimes people underestimate just how powerful an addiction or just, you know, how against the norm some of these players can be. I'm reminded of Isaiah Wilson. All right. Yeah. That's kind of like the latest study right now. They try to do everything in their power to help Isaiah Wilson. I mean, there's reports coming out that like every guy in that locker room in Tennessee and then in Miami reached out to him and said, hey, man, you know, come hang out. We'll get you some help. And he didn't want it. Right. And I'm reminded of Justin Blackmon. I remember when we had Cecil Shorts on the show and you know, Cecil was a guy that could probably allude to it more than I could, but I was the guy that would go out with Justin Blackmon at the beach bars on the weekend, you know, and drink beer and do shots because, you know, that's the kind of life I came from. Not to the extent of Justin Blackmon, but even I remember, you know, when I think he got suspended for the second time, and I think it might have been like when it was a DUI or whatever the case may be. And I remember I saw Justin back out at the beach bars, and I'm like, dude, you come on, man. Like, what are you doing? You know, and I'm not the only guy that had that conversation with him. But at the end of the day, those conversations with your teammates can only get you so far. Like, yeah, I always preach family in the locker room and brotherhood. But like I've said, you're only as good as the circle that you surround yourself with. And Isaiah Wilson's circle, and I think Justin Blackmon's circle, they did him a disservice because those guys can maybe get through to him, right? Like sometimes teammates can and sometimes teammates can't, right? It's about who you grew up with. It's about who you put your trust in. So if I'm in Isaiah Wilson's circle right now, and who says he gets another chance? Because he may be done. Like he might be. You may have, and I'm not worried about Isaiah Wilson, the football player, anymore. I'm worried about Isaiah Wilson, the human being, a member of society, you know, getting help because obviously there's a problem right now. That's where the people that you surround yourself with have to come to your help. You know, you can't surround yourself with yes men all the time. And like, that's why I still have my friends that I grew up with because, you know, are they going to sugarcoat things? No. If I'm doing something wrong, they'll be the first ones to tell me about it, no matter how much it makes me angry. Like, they're going to tell it how it is. And I think that's the problem that Justin Blackmon had a little bit, and that's the problem with Isaiah Wilson right now is you can't surround yourself with people that don't appreciate you for you. They see the football player and all this stuff, and they're like almost like an entourage, and they want to take a ride. They want to buy a ticket, and they want to take the ride. But what happens when that ride gets off? Who's still going to be there for you? Who's really going to care about you? That's what Isaiah Wilson, in my opinion, has to figure out right now.
Yeah, and it's really interesting, Austin, because, listen, if something happens to me, I'm sure my friends will be like, man, sorry, let's help you through and stuff. But CMG will have no problem being like, yeah, we'll find another Brent. That's no problem. These guys, Isaiah Wilson has a skill set, a body type. They want to give him more chances.
Yeah.
They want him to work out. They had an investment in him. They don't want to cut him. They don't want to see him go bad for their own selfish reasons. And so it really shows you how deep the problems are sometimes when guys don't make it because you know they're getting as many chances as possible to make it work. I think the NFL's built that way. I think college can sometimes be like that. And by the way, not all for the wrong reasons. You don't want to give up on people sometimes.
No.
And the better situation is in the situation they're at to help them. And so it's a fascinating part of the process and one that's so unpredictable in the midst of being an already unpredictable business.
You know, it just sucks, right? And obviously, like I cracked the joke yesterday at South Beach Gary, and maybe I shouldn't have did that about Isaiah Wilson. But I mean, it is a serious thing because we're not talking about, and you know how I feel about domestic violence and stuff like that. I think if you do that, then you're done. But we're not talking about that, at least I think from Isaiah Wilson's perspective. We're talking about a guy who goes out partying, who gets DUIs and things like that, who just lives a party lifestyle. And I understand that, but like it's not like people want to be quick to judge and say, "Oh, this guy's he's a burnout, he's stupid." Like, no, I think there's actually deep-seated issues here. I think there's an addiction issue. I really do. Because you mean to tell me this guy's willing to throw away millions and millions and millions of dollars just so he can go out to the bars and celebrate every single night? Like that doesn't make any sense. And the same thing with Justin Blackmon. You think Justin Blackmon wanted to throw all his talent away and all that, you know, signing bonus money that he had? You think he wanted to throw that away over a couple drinks at the Jags beach bars? Probably not. So there's deeper seated issues there. So like I feel like instead of making fun of these people, you got to do your best to try to help these people out. But you can only help people so much, you know?
Yeah, that's true. You can only help so much, and they got to want to be helped at some point in time. You know, I've been fortunate. In my life, I haven't had a lot of that at least close to me, right, addiction-wise or anything. And so I haven't seen it up close. But I will tell you, and I'm being real here, the Justin Blackmon thing put things in perspective for me. You're talking about a guy who was really talented, in my opinion. I thought he was going to be a heck of a receiver in the NFL. I mean, just the hands, the game, the everything, the production when he was out there.
Mm-hmm.
And to see him at such a young age, given chances, given opportunities, want to be helped, but not want to seek the help or get the help or turn it around, and to give up on, heck, forget about football, but $10 million essentially because of his addiction. It really put it in perspective, maybe like nothing else in my life that I've seen. I mean, he really is, like, to me, the poster child to that, because I saw up close the talent and what he was throwing away. And to be honest with you, every time I talked to him, man, he was a good dude. Like, he wasn't
awesome.
a bad guy.
No.
But he had some big-time issues, and it really Jan, I'm just talking for myself. Everybody's got their own situations and something that opens their eyes. It opened my eyes to, like, addiction.
Yeah.
From, like, how bad can it be, or does it have to be to give up on this? You know?
Yeah.
And even if you don't love the game, and there was some talk, that's still – everybody loves $10 million, man.
Yeah.
Okay? Yeah. Everybody loves $10 million. And it just it really put it in perspective for me that these guys do have real issues, and addiction is a real issue.
And this is really probably the biggest – it's probably the hardest part of the evaluation process when we talk about college guys transitioning to the NFL. Because if you saw Justin Blackmon in college, yeah, I mean, first-round pick all day. If you saw Justin Blackmon in NFL practice like Cecil Shorts, I mean, he was great in games, but that guy would do things in practice that honestly, like, and keep in mind, I played with Kelvin Johnson. Very comparable to Kelvin Johnson. The type of catches, just the type of things that he could bring to the table on that practice field, it was unreal. And some of those things translated to the game. But I'm still convinced that you only saw a fraction of what he was capable of in the game. Like, he didn't get to show everything because he was still so young. But the hardest thing from coming from the college game to the pro game is the mindset of the guy coming in. Sure, you can see the 40-yard dash time. Sure, you can sit in these interviews and get their, how do they feel about their schemes? How do they learn all this stuff? But it is so hard to take a kid coming out of college, and if it's a big-name college, so be it, where they've essentially had everything done for them. And then you throw them in the mix in the NFL where now all of a sudden you're living on your own. It's the real world. And now all of a sudden you have to go to class anymore, and it's just football. Oh, and by the way, here's millions and millions and millions of dollars. Good luck with that. It's hard to gauge how a player is going to respond to that. And by the way, probably the most pressure you're ever going to feel in your entire life.
Yeah.
It's so hard to gauge that. There's no question that you can really ask. Sure, you can talk to people and do the interviews and all that stuff, but even still then, you can't gauge it, right? And that's really the hardest thing out of the evaluation process, and it's the hardest thing for GMs and coaches, because every GM and coach thinks, we can bring this guy in, he's going to fit the culture, our culture is going to embrace him, and he's going to be an all-pro, a Pro Bowl player for years to come. Okay, in a perfect world, for sure. But sometimes you got guys like Isaiah Wilson. Sometimes you got guys like Justin Blackmon, where no matter how talented they are, no matter what they look like on paper and maybe even in an interview, you don't know how they're going to respond when they get to the NFL in terms of pressure and in terms of just being in the spotlight.
And everybody wants to sign up for the opportunity, Austin, to have the millions, to play on the big time, but not everybody would handle it as well as they think. That's the thing I always – and you just don't know what each individual person's dealing with on the side that they can't handle, but they want to be tough enough to try to handle.
Sure.
And so it's – again, the Blackmon situation is unlike anything really I've covered in my career, and not growing up around anybody, thankfully, knock on wood, with addiction, at least super close to me. I mean, that was something that really did open my eyes to it. And I think it's just a hard thing for – you've got to do your homework, though. And some people will say – Gene Smith and others, if they did more homework, they could have seen this coming, because it sets you back. From a selfish franchise perspective, it really sets you back. All right, let's get to Shock Your Mock. We don't ask you to do the character evaluations of your Shock Your Mock draft, but let's get to it. Did you pick one out?
Yeah, we have one out. And Kuz, just go ahead and tell me when the thing's up, because we got to start Shock Your Mock today. and I have to release a statement here. Okay. There's gonna be a statement coming out. So Kuz, you got that up right now?
He is none other than the Shaq Master!
Gonna shock yo Mock! We're gonna shock yo Mock!
Brutality, don't you think?
Shocking! Gonna shock yo Mock! We're gonna shock yo Mock!
Shocking upset.
I feel shocked. Shock yo Mock! We're gonna shock yo Mock!
I am shocked. I am shocked. That's what I mean. I am.
Wow, are you headbanging over there?
Oh, yeah, obviously, man. Hey, by the way, hey, GarageBand on iTunes, can you give me a double kick drum, please? Can you give me a double bass? Couldn't find one.
I love that you put that together, man. I'm proud of you. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Please tell that to my wife because she was not impressed. That's all I'm going to say. Spent about a couple hours doing that, but it is what it is.
So you're issuing a statement already in day 2?
Yeah. Kuz, is it up there? I don't see it quite. I know there's a little delay. All right. He's putting the thumbs up here. It's about to come up in a second. Oh, by the way, Brent, we got one guy guess what one of those quotes are from? It's from Dodgeball. Correct, sir.
Very good. I wouldn't have got that.
Do you know the other quotes what they're from? There's 2 other quotes in there.
I tried to listen a little closer that time, and nothing stood out. So we'll continue to
keep that game going.
We'll put it all together all week.
All right, so what we got here today is Duval Defender, and obviously 3 U's, and that's, you know what that means? It's going to be 904 Defender coming up here in the next year or so, because Urban Meyer is going to put an end to Duval Defender. But you know what, Brent? I don't even feel bad about it. He prefaces by saying this. At ESPN 690, hashtag Shock Your Mock, at HA92, at Brent A.S. Jax. Don't hurt me. I got Pitts and a QB2. Jets offered too much to pass up. Okay. Okay, so from the get-go, and Brent, you're not here to really rein me in today, so I'm just going to let it fly. But I'll be honest. This guy does obviously not listen to the show. Because what was the one rule about Shock Your Mock? What was the one rule, Brent?
Trevor Lawrence, number 1, man.
Okay.
I feel bad for Duval Defender already.
Every single year I have one rule in Shock Your Mock. Last year was don't say Grant Delpit, okay? And what do people do? Oh, Grant Delpit. Hey, by the way, how's Grant Delpit doing in the NFL?
It wasn't a great year.
Was I wrong, Brent?
No.
Okay, so there
Stay
we go.
away from Delpit.
So there we go. Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and break this down real quick. You see pick number 2. I'm going to say that for last, okay? Let's just keep on going down the list here, though. So Kyle Pitts, number 11. Brent, Kyle Pitts. You know how I feel about Kyle Pitts. I'm a Kyle Pitts believer. Imagine the endorsements with Speed Stick or Old Spice that you could do. I mean, it just writes itself. Kyle Pitts, yeah, I like that number 11. Could you trade it up? So be it. Kadarius Toney, number 33. I mean, Brent, Kadarius Toney in the second round. If he falls there, we'll see what happens. Then we got Jason Owe, edge guy out of Penn State.
Penn State, yeah.
I like him in a 3-4 defense. I talked about him today a little bit. We're doing good right now. Okay, we're doing very, very good. We got Michael Carter, North Carolina. You know, I'm not mad at this pick. I think he can be an explosive guy. UNC had a very explosive offense this year. I'm not mad at Michael Carter. Deontay Smith, Eastern Carolina offensive tackle. Like, if we break this down, not the top pick, but everything else from top to bottom, a lot of things get addressed here. Right, we got Richie Grant, who we saw yesterday a little bit, probably the 3rd or 4th best safety on the board. You get him number 45. I'm not mad at that. You address the edge. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Kadarius Toney. There's a lot of things to like about this mock draft here from 904 Defender. But now let's address the situation at hand, okay? And I had to do this today, Brent, because I had to make an example, okay? I'm like Darth Vader, I guess. Have you seen Star Wars, Brent? You familiar with Star Wars a little bit?
So, I have heard of Darth Vader.
Okay, so you know in Star Wars when Darth Vader had to blow up that planet Alderaan because he had to make an example of him? That's
you got to do that sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes you got to blow up planets, all right? And I am Darth Vader without the deep-seated issues of his father. I mean, I'm good. I talked to my dad, so we're all good there. So I'm Darth Vader in the sense that I'm ruthless, okay? And let's make one thing clear right now. This is not a democracy. This is a dictatorship, okay? And I'm running the show. Brent's not in the studio. Brent is at the golf course. So what I say goes right now. And when we talk about what goes right now, You mean to tell me Duval defender, and I get it, Kyle Pitts, Kadarius Toney, okay, that's great. But you mean to tell me that we had to go through this year of suffering for Zach Wilson at number 2, okay? We had to go through a 1-win season for Zach Wilson at number 2. No, sir. And I don't care if Zach Wilson's the next reincarnation of Deshaun Watson. Now, not really comparable in terms of size and stature and playing ability, but I'm just saying if he's going to be Deshaun Watson, well, we may have a Patrick Mahomes right here. And give me Patrick Mahomes all day with Trevor Lawrence. I could have swore I stated I don't want to see any kind of Zach Wilson nonsense. So let's go deeper now. Because I actually clicked on this guy's profile, Brent, because this could be a New York Jets sleeper agent, okay?
Oh, yeah.
We are to that point right now. And so I'm on his Twitter profile right now. Says that he loves the Jaguars. Okay, so, I mean, but, once again, what does that really mean? Says he loves Georgia. Okay, fits the mold. Says that he loves the Green Bay Packers, which is a little bit of a miscue. And then he says that he loves the UFC. So now he's an Ultimate Fighting Championship fan.
Eesh.
So that kind of hurts a little bit.
I feel like you can have a beer with this guy.
But at the end of the day, no, because here's what's happening. And shout out to Duval Defender for putting where you conducted this mock draft at. This was done at pfnmockdraftsimulator.com. So now it's my mission to get this website shut down along with that Matt Miller guy who said Zach Wilson's going to be better than Trevor Lawrence. I'm shutting them both down because any draft website that okays you to trade Trevor Lawrence away for Zach Wilson deserves to be shut down. Okay? So with that being said, Duval Defender, and Brent, once again, I'm running the show today, not you. I'm the captain now. You don't get a t-shirt. Okay? We shouldn't even call this show Shock Your Mock. What we should call this show is, if you mention Trevor Lawrence's name, you get a t-shirt. Okay? But guess what? You didn't mention Trevor Lawrence's name, so now you don't get a t-shirt. We are literally just giving out t-shirts. And now I know Brent paid for them, and that's fantastic. But if you listen to our show, you know this much. He's got 11 endorsements for every single break. Brent Martineau's doing just fine. Don't worry about the money. He's got a backyard fireplace. It is what it is. But you're going to be the only guy in town because you wanted to be different, because you want to be a rebel and say, forget Trevor Lawrence, let's get Zach Wilson. So guess what? Making show history, and once again, we anticipated every single day giving out a t-shirt. I don't care if you mention, a safety going the top. I don't care what the thing may be. The only stipulation is that you cannot mention Zach Wilson over Trevor Lawrence. You did? You don't get a t-shirt. You're going to be the only person in this city that doesn't have a Shock Your Mock t-shirt. And when you go to the games and they ask you, hey, man, where's your Shock the Mock t-shirt? You can tell them. You can tell them, and you can say, you know what? I wanted Zach Wilson more than Trevor Lawrence. Go ahead and tell him. This has been Shock Your Mock. I'm done, Coos. Get this out of my face. Duval Defender, thanks for the follow. Hopefully you listen to the UFC coverage that I do sometimes on the show. But as far as Zach Wilson's concerned, no siree. Not today,
your mock,
not never. But
your mock
thanks for your
has
support.
been shocked.
But thank you for your support, though. I appreciate it a lot.
Your mock
but
has been shocked.
But you
without
don't get a t-shirt. You're not getting, no, Brent, I'm saying right now. No t-shirts today, Brent. Okay.
I thought you were going to lose it because there were 2 Gators on there.
Well, I mean, that too. Like, that's aggressive as well. But no, you mentioned Zach Wilson, you don't get a t-shirt. So now this game's called You Don't Get a T-Shirt. Congratulations.
Hey, Coos, go get Austin a beer or something like that. He needs something to cool down a little. We'll take a break. We come back. Football at 5.
I'm sweating right now.
Hey, there's a shot of whatever you want on that back window area.
That's a good point.
Just take whatever you need.
Where's the Vita de Louis at, man?
Yeah, Vita de Louis. We got Happy Hour horn coming up. That's right. It's on the way. We're live at Eagle Landing. I'm sorry, Duval Defender. I didn't see that one coming. But you made your own bed.
Why are you apologizing, Brent?
Hey.
Brent, you've been in Trevor Lawrence's hometown. What are you talking about? You're apologizing for him right now.
Where does Zach Wilson even live?
Let's go fight this guy. Don't
we'll
apologize.
Be back on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 SportsCenter update.
Happy Tuesday. I'm Jake Mitchell. Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is facing 6 more lawsuits from just yesterday, bringing a grand total of 13 being filed since last week. One of those suits alleging an incident earlier this month. Mike McCann, legal analyst for Sportico, says even if Watson is found innocent, the damage is already done.
Yeah, there's still damage to his reputation. Just the accusation alone, being accused of sexual assault. Now, that doesn't mean his sponsors are going to cut him. I don't think they would take that step unless there's real evidence, unless these these complaints advance, I think they'll be very cautious in that because, let's face it, other athletes are going to be watching.
In March Madness news, the Florida State Seminoles have moved on to the Sweet 16 by toppling the 5th-seeded Colorado Buffalo 71-53. SportsCenter update is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Welcome to Moe's, and good morning at Moe's. In St. Augustine only at 312 and US 1, it's the only Moe's in the country serving breakfast burritos. Try it. You'll love it. Full breakfast menu only at the St. Augustine location. They put the fast in breakfast. Made to order in the drive-thru. Try the Home Wrecker breakfast burrito. Your choice of bacon, chicken, or steak with scrambled eggs, shredded cheese, and seasoned potatoes. Served daily at 6 a.m. St. Augustine location only. Make it a better morning with Moe's.
There is a taste of the islands in every drop of Vida de Luis tequila, imported directly from Tequila, Mexico to Jacksonville Beach. Vida de Luis is the only locally owned tequila in Jax Beach. Support local and try Vida de Luis. Award-winning, smooth, all natural, no aldehydes or additives, which means wake up feeling good the next morning. Find out where you can pick up a bottle of Vida de Luis, Blanco, Reposado, or Añejo. Just visit VitaDeLuis.com. Support local and taste the islands in every drop.
Hey, boss, how's it going?
How's it going? Oh, let me tell you how it's going. So far this year, I've broken my pinky toe, had a flat tire, and currently I'm trying to pass a kidney stone the size of Rhode Island.
Well, karma strikes again.
What?
Nothing. Oh, look, it's the first Crooks R Us survey of 2021. They're asking crooks like us to list the top reasons we avoid safe touch houses.
There's the crash and smash technology, the video monitoring.
Yeah, but what's number one?
Gotta be the two-way communicator.
That's what I said.
Oh, yeah. The two-way communicator leads to verified alarms, which lead to faster response times, which are all very bad for us crooks.
Which all just circles back to the Crooks R Us golden rule. Stay away from safe touch houses.
Yeah, thanks, Captain Obvious.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope. And you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talent Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talent Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
Life is complicated. We all know it, and all can use the proper support system. You know what else can be complicated? Owning a home. And that's why Rex was built to go beyond the simple real estate transaction. Full-service agents for buying and selling, mortgage services, insurance quotes, escrow and title, even home repair, all one call away. I guess you could call Rex your home support system and not a typical brokerage. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. Want more? Of course you do. With all that convenience comes reduced fees too. In fact, the average Rex homeowner saves over $10,000 when buying and selling a home. Want to get started? It's never too soon. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. 833-739-4663. Florida license number CQ1057788. For further licensing disclosures, please visit rexhomes.com.
Where else can you get lunchin', brunchin', boozin' specials? Only one place, at Culhane's Irish Pub at Atlantic Beach and on the south side. It's as Irish as you can get, owned by 4 Irish sisters. And they've got fish and chips, of course, shepherd's pie. Go today for lunch or dinner. Eat in, order out. Culhane'sIrishPub.com for the full menu. And try the new 5 Sisters vodka at happy hour. Lunchin', brunchin', boozin' specials, and so much more. 2 locations, Atlantic Beach and the south side. Culhane's Irish Pub, Irish Sass with 5-star class.
Goodyear knows the importance of keeping momentum as you head down the stretch. Momentum starts with movement. It's pulled from the air like a contested rebound. Momentum builds with steals and fast breaks, and is proven by deep threes as the shot clock expires. Momentum is how we change the game, and now it's time to discover where it can take us. Goodyear, more driven.
It's time for some straight talk. Your tax return could look different this year, but you're still going to hear a lot of noise about how to spend it. So when the big carriers tell you to splurge on the latest nonsense, just tune it out. With Straight Talk, you can get a Samsung Galaxy A51 for just $199. Plus, get the $45 unlimited talk, text, and data plan with no contract on America's best networks for up to 50% less. Tune out the nonsense and tune in to Straight Talk. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Tuesday, Golden State, Steph Curry, tailbone contusion, out against the 76ers. Philly big man Joel Embiid still out with that bone bruise in his knee. Lakers are without the injured LeBron James and Anthony Davis tonight in New Orleans, 7:30 Eastern, ESPN Radio. Part of the reason for the rash of injuries in the league, a jammed second-half schedule, says ESPN's Brian Windhorst.
The NBA just held its nose and shoved all the games onto the calendar. And so I suspect we're going to be faced with more injuries. And then when guys are out, because the games are all shoved together, it's going to be a lot of games that they're going to miss, even if they're only out a week or two. So this is reality that we are in this pandemic.
Ryan Windhorst on Greeny with Mike Greenberg. ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski reports Hornets rookie guard LaMelo Ball had surgery to repair a fractured wrist. His season is likely over.
With no fees or minimums on checking and savings accounts, and an app that lets you bank anytime, anywhere, choosing Capital One is like the easiest decision in the history of decisions. That's banking reimagined. What's in your wallet? Terms apply. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios.
This is Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane.
I'm sure it would be helpful, but you got to remember, they went through this last year. They dabbled in the Antonio Brown situation last year, and Russell Wilson was a big advocate for signing him then. They weren't able to do it. He ends up in Tampa Bay with his buddy Tom Brady, and they win the Super Bowl. It could certainly end like that again. The Seahawks actually looked into Antonio Brown 2 off seasons ago after the Raiders released him, but the Patriots signed him for more than the Seahawks were willing to go. So they've kind of been monitoring this player for a while, and I don't think it would surprise anybody if he ended up in Seattle, but they have shown there's only there's a point they're willing to go to and not beyond in order to get him.
That didn't sound like Graziano there. Who's an information guy? I'm going to go with Graziano anyway, but it really didn't sound like him.
That's correct.
Oh, it was Graziano. Yeah.
Ah, it was. Okay, it didn't sound like him. By the way, we should have banned Graziano for a week after his London comments last week.
Yeah, I know, man. That wasn't cool. I mean, I'd really like to, obviously go at him right now, but I'm so depleted from my energy levels. So just give me some time, and then I'll talk about Graziano later. But yeah, I wasn't a fan of what he said about London, obviously.
Yeah, no doubt. Hey, did something not sports related, but I'm redoing the floors in the house, so we took the carpet out.
Sure.
I'm one of these guys, by the way. Like you don't own a house now, right? But you sold yours recently.
I did.
So what's the longest you've lived in a place, actually? Like in a house?
In a house?
Yeah, that you've owned. Like that
I've
owned.
2 years, 3 years.
Okay, so you weren't really in it long enough to do a whole lot to it.
Oh no.
Yeah, see, like so many of my friends and people that I know, like they do stuff in their house like all the time. Like my best friend Pat from home. I mean, he first of all, he's a painter by trade anyway, so he can do a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
But he's always doing something, like redoing his kitchen, redoing the deck, redoing the front steps, redoing the this, redoing the that.
Sure.
I'm like, my gosh, man. I mean, how much money are you going to spend on this house? But he wants like his dream house, and he's kind of the way he wants it built, and he can do a lot of it. And so it's cool. Like, I don't mind it, but we've been in our house for 13 years, and like we maintain the house. Like, it's not a mess, and we don't have dogs or anything. So like the baseboards and the paint has stood the test of time pretty good, even after the kids running around and marshmallow baseball and all the rest of it.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't do a lot. Like, I've had to do the AC units. I've had to do, just recently had to paint, had to do like garage doors. But I really don't do a lot.
Did that outdoor fireplace come with it, or did you do that?
I did do that, actually.
Oh, yeah.
I've done more recently.
Bought it as is. Yep.
Yeah. That wasn't an as is. That was an addition.
Okay.
But but I really don't do a lot to the house. Like, I don't know why. I hesitate to say I don't care what it looks like, but I really don't care to the point where I need to go put $30,000 into my house, like, and redo my kitchen and bathroom and everything every 3 years. God bless you if you do. You keep the world turning. I love you, but that's not me.
I guess I come from the philosophy of like, I would care if I know I'm going to be in it for a long period of time.
True.
Like my last house, I mean, I knew like eventually we were going to downsize when my wife went to med school. Then when she graduates, then we'll probably look at something else. So like that was always kind of the plan. So like the last house that we're at, it wasn't like, like I'm going to go above and beyond, because I knew it wasn't going to be ours forever.
Yeah.
But like, eventually we move into that, as they call it on HGTV, your forever home. Then I'll probably spend some time. That's what they call it, Brent. That's a big buzzword now in HGTV. I should know. I watch it, every other day with my wife. I don't choose to. That's her choice. That's her prerogative. But
has she started watching that Marriage or Mortgage show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Look out.
Yeah.
Dumb show.
I got in trouble because I just said, why wouldn't you go mortgage every single time?
And then eventually get married.
I agree.
Right? And then eventually get married.
Then figure that out down the line. Yeah.
Who came up with? I mean, I could come up with a better idea right now, honestly. But whatever. But with that being said, yeah, Brent, once we find that forever home, then I'll start spending some time, like remodeling stuff, just the way I want it. Beanbag chairs, everything,
Yeah. Well, listen, beanbag chairs would be great.
I love beanbag chairs.
This is. My mom can make you a beanbag chair, by the way, if you want one.
Can she really?
Yeah.
I mean,
she's made us some.
Can it handle my stature, though?
Yeah,
I like a pretty big beanbag chair now.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe a little extra beans. But so I've also been blessed, and this is nothing wrong with if you are like to do the renovations and you have an eye for that stuff. But Steph doesn't care either. Yeah. All right. So Steph's not like, hey, we really need to redo this. We need to, and listen, like my sister's like that. She wants to redo her house, all this stuff. Like, again, we're just not like that for whatever reason. And so some of it's kind of the way you're saying. Like, I worked in Louisiana for 6 months. I worked in Providence for 2.5 years. I had a house in Providence. It was a duplex. So, I mean, we did a little, but not a lot. We weren't there long enough. Yeah. We lived in Albany for 5 years. And probably if I stayed there any longer, I would have had to paint the house, and it was like cedar shingles, so it probably would have been pretty expensive.
Oof,
and we redid a bathroom while we were in that house for 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
But so what happens in our business, like, I don't know how long I'm going to be anywhere either, right? I don't know how long I'm going to be in Jacksonville when I first move here. So why am I going to go put all this money into my house? Well, now we've been here 12, 13 years. We're not going anywhere. Like, fire me tomorrow and I'll probably go find a job somewhere else, and we're not going anywhere. So now you start looking at, okay, we'll probably be in the house for another 10, 12 years, something like that, and then maybe downsize when the kids are done. And so I did have to paint finally. Like, we're like five years over. I'm surprised of all that stupid stuff the HOA does. Like, we got another letter recently in the HOA because there was a spot of dirt on the driveway that they said we need to pressure wash.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they didn't notice the 800 cracks in my stucco home, and they didn't write me a letter about that apparently for the last 5 years. Yeah. So I don't know what the heck that guy's looking at, but. Anyway, we redo that because it's got to be done. And now, maybe we'll have to paint it one more time before we sell it down the road. But long story short, which is now it's getting a long story, we needed a new couch. All right. So we buy this couch like 6 years ago, and it starts to pull, like from sweating, I think, on the couch, quite frankly. It's actually started to peel. And so it looks awful. Like, it's bad. It's embarrassing. Like, you wouldn't even want it in your home for a week. It's been in our house for like a year and a half, okay?
Sure.
That'll give you an idea like what we care about. But I was like, we really got to get a new couch. And then the TV has a line in it. And, so the TV's like, okay, maybe it's a good time to get a new TV. It's kind of on the older side. So then I say, the carpet's like 13 years old. Been a lot of marshmallow baseball in there.
Yeah.
We either need a real deep clean or we need to get a new carpet because in our family room, it's got, they have bubbles in carpet. You know how that happens? Well, we got like those bubbles.
Okay.
So it needs to be stretched. Well, the bubbles were so bad, I think we would have had to redo the carpet. So, again, I mean, just normal wear and tear stuff that probably most people take care of 5 years ago, and we're just taking care of it now. So we put in floors yesterday, and we're doing, instead of carpet, like I was just going to do carpet again. And the guy that comes over, he's like, listen, nobody does carpet. Like, it's just not the style. Nobody does
floors,
carpet.
Man. Wood
they
floors
do
and
wood
rugs.
floors.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Well, and I'm not talking like hardwoods. They do like that kind of like fake hardwood stuff.
Sure.
So we do the fake hardwood stuff. And I think it looks kind of good. Like, I'm excited about it. Like, it's coming out okay. And, man, they do that stuff fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I get in last night about 1 in the morning from TV, and I open the door, and there is like this echo of opening the door. And then I walk, and like I put my keys down, and it like rattles through the whole house.
Sure.
I'm like, holy cow. I was like, I didn't realize. They always tell you that. But carpet really sucks up that much noise in your house compared to the flooring. It really just took me 10 minutes to get to that part of the story. But it was amazing how much. So now I got to go get like a throw rug or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
To absorb some of that sound.
Well, listen, and obviously being a parent now with 2 freshmen in high school, that's going to pay dividends when, say the kids got a curfew and they come home maybe a little later than expected.
Yes.
Because that's what I had to go through, man, because we had all wood floors at my mom's house. So, I'd be like maybe 20 minutes, maybe 3 hours past curfew. And then, my mom's sleeping. I'd come in. Dude, I had you want to talk about how, like, my footwork, how I got my footwork so good? Dude, I had to have the most quietest feet because we had the noisiest house. Like, we had like wood floors and stereo where one bad step and the whole creak goes throughout the whole house. So I had to learn, man, how to have those fast feet, those quiet feet when I'm getting home past curfew.
Yeah, I was like that too. We had an old house when I was a kid. And so that creaky hardwood,
Dude, what are you telling?
You couldn't even walk up 2 steps without waking somebody up. So it's going to be interesting. I'll give you another part of the story. Ty and Kaylee, this is how simple they are. I'm like, hey, I've made it to adult life. I'm like redoing our floors. Like, we're actually paying attention and trying to invest in our house and make it nicer. Like, this is a big moment for us. I get home and Kaylee sees, this was earlier, she sees some of the flooring. She's like, why'd you do that? That's ugly. I was like, all right. Kind of hit me like, I think the kids kind of like it the way it is. They don't want change.
No, for sure.
They've grown up with that carpet for 13 years. That's their marshmallow carpet, and they want it the way it is, whether it looks bad or not.
For sure.
So, anyway, moral of the story, be ready for some echoey sounds if you're changing from carpet to
and you
to
better
hardwoods.
watch that curfew. Just saying
and
right
you better
now,
watch
that curfew.
And you better not yet at least, be drinking an Vida de Louis. But if you're of age, you certainly can, because it's happy hour horde time.
Vida de Louis! The good vibes!
Taste the islands and every drop of Vida de Louis tequila. 100% blue agave from Tequila, Mexico. Good vibes.
It's a celebration!
Vida de Louis. Check out VidaDeLouis.com. Taste of the islands in every drop. Añejo, Reposado, Blanco. Check it out. VidaDeLouis.com, where you can find a bottle of Vida de Louis, of course, brought to Jacksonville Beach. Only locally owned tequila in Jacksonville Beach. Vida de Louis. Check them out at VidaDeLouis.com. Taste the islands in every drop. Brent Martineau here at Eagle Landing Golf Club. Played a little golf today. Beautiful day out here near Oakleaf Plantation. Fantastic golf course. It's a part of our Dream 18 card. Discounted golf right here at Eagle Landing Golf Club. So come on out. But you got to buy the card first. Well, you can still come out, but we'd like you to buy the card first at ESPN690.com. Austin Lane back in the Action Sports Shack studios along with Kuz. We just did Shock Your Mock. If you missed it, Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690 podcast. It was a fun one. Austin wore himself out. What was more tiring. Shock your mock today or your fight 2 weeks ago?
I think the shock your mock was a little longer than the fight was, but it's very comparable. Very comparable. I'm not gonna lie. After the fight, I felt invigorated and pumped up and ready to celebrate with a couple basic beverages. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like I ate an edible or something here because I'm just like I'm drained, man. I'm down. Not saying I don't eat edibles. I'm just saying if I was to eat one, that's probably what I feel like right now. But here's the question though. We got to call up UPS because obviously that guy's not getting a T-shirt. Dude, does that guy have to send us his best T-shirt now, like as a trade-off to make things right? Because we got to balance everything. So do we request a T-shirt from him?
I don't want his T-shirt.
Okay. I kind of do because I don't want Zach Wilson here.
I don't want his T-shirt.
Okay.
I really don't.
I'm just a little disappointed that I get it. You're like the nice guy of the Shock Your Mock, and I'm like the hard customer, and I get that. You have to have good cop, bad cop. But to sit here and listen to a Zach Wilson mock draft after all you've done for Trevor Lawrence, man, I expected better from you. I really did.
Yeah. Well, you've learned your lesson, Shock Your Mockers. Hashtag Shock Your Mock, send them in. But you might want Trevor Lawrence with that #1 overall pick. We'll do it again tomorrow, of course, and maybe you can get a T-shirt unless you get suspended like Duval Defender did. Hey, Florida State wins last night. I don't think they've played their best basketball game in the tournament. I think they're really good again. I just don't know if they're good enough to win it all, Austin. From what you've seen from Florida State, from what you know from the pedigree now that Leonard Hamilton has built this program the last handful of years, as one of the best programs in the ACC, quite frankly, and a team that last year was good enough, in my opinion, to win the whole thing. Can they do it? They got Michigan up next, who looks strong, and Michigan's been good all year. Can they beat Michigan? And then can they get to the Final Four with a win over potentially UCLA or Alabama? Let's just talk Final Four. Can they do that? Are they good enough to beat Michigan and then potentially Alabama or a UCLA team playing well?
Yeah, that's the thing. We still haven't seen the best Florida State quite yet. And you're taking on a juggernaut right now in Michigan that's, firing on all cylinders. I still believe in it. Just the way that they play basketball, on both sides of the court, their depth, the way they can rotate guys and the way guys can catch on fire. I'm not going to count them out against Michigan. And this is coming from a guy who had Michigan get beat by LSU, so obviously I wasn't buying into Michigan.
That was a good game, by the way.
It was a great game, but, man, it's hard. If Michigan plays like that against Florida State, I have a hard time believing that Florida State's going to beat them.
Absolutely.
So can it happen? Absolutely. If it's March Madness, they call it March Madness for a reason. Is it plausible? Maybe, maybe not, but I just think Florida State's going to need a ridiculous game to keep up with Michigan.
Here's the deal, okay? I look at the first game Alabama played. I thought it was so-so. They played a really good game yesterday. Gonzaga's played 2 really good games. Colorado played an excellent game. The first game, not so good against Florida State. Florida State, in my estimation, has played 2 okay games. Nothing great. Michigan might have just played the best game they'll play in the tournament. It was that good. LSU was really good. They needed a lot to get by LSU, and they did it. But can you duplicate the effort? And the execution. So that's what I look at Austin a lot. First of all, from a matchup standpoint, you can break down the game. You've got 5 days to do that. But I just think you play the trend a little bit. Can you back-to-back performance like that, even if you're a really good basketball team like Michigan? That's hard to do. And so if you take that, if you just knock them down a peg from what they were yesterday, and you notch Florida State up just a little bit, because I don't think they've played their best basketball. Well, now you've got yourself a pick-em type of game. And so, in my estimation, Florida State is good enough to beat Michigan. And then I think they will be good enough to beat Alabama. I think we'll win that game against UCLA. But UCLA, if they come in, they'll be playing really strong and really well, too. I think they're good enough to get to the Final Four. I'm not convinced they're good enough to beat Gonzaga or Baylor, if I'm being completely honest. I don't. Yeah. I think this is a Final Four caliber team. I think they're good enough to get there. I love the fact that in their B kind of game, they can still win in the NCAA tournament. Some teams can't get away with that. I think this is a good basketball team, a very good basketball team. So I'm not trying to slight them in any way by saying I don't think they can win the national championship. I just think the Final Four might be the mountaintop for them. And by the way, that's one hell of a mountaintop. I mean, that's really good. So I think they can do that. I'm not going to sit here and tell you they are going to get there. But I think by next Wednesday morning, if they're in the Final Four, it wouldn't stun me at all.
I think what Florida State has going for them, too, is time to prepare a little bit, because I think what they're playing on, is it Friday, Saturday?
They'll play on Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. Okay, there you go. So, you have some time to prepare and you have time off. And sometimes when you have that much time off, it means the hot teams can go cold and the cold teams can go hot. Michigan is just, to me, they're a little bit of an enigma. And we had Coach Driscoll on. I think he alluded to this a little bit as well. Michigan kind of lost their heartbeat of their team in livers or whatever. And is it livers or livers? We never really established that. But regardless, he was
Shivers,
one of their big-time shivers. I'm sorry. Wait, no, it's livers, right? Livers? Where are we at right now? It's not shivers. It's Livers, is it not?
We call them everything.
Okay. Well, do we know this guy's name does start with an L or an S? Can we figure that out? It's with an L, right? Isaiah Livers? Whatever. Okay. Regardless. They lost the heartbeat of their team. And
It's Livers.
It starts with an L.
It starts with an L.
Okay, thank you. So, did I not say...
I made the shivers joke yesterday.
Oh, I got you. Okay. See, well, we're going full circle from yesterday, Brent. I'm still shocked from Shock Your Mock. But when you lose a player like that, though, sometimes it takes time to rebound from. And the surprising thing about Michigan right now is they're almost playing better without him. And that's your guy that's been there for 4 or 5 years. And he's been the heart and soul of that team. And all of a sudden now they're playing a better brand of basketball than I've seen with him in the game. That doesn't make that much sense. So are you playing for him? Or is this a better team dynamic with him off the court? I'm not sure. But when you take a hot team like Michigan and you give them some time off until Sunday, that can be a detriment to them. I think if this game was, on Wednesday or Thursday, Michigan all day against Florida State. But I think this extended period of time, it actually gives Florida State the edge a little bit, and all of a sudden Michigan can maybe come back down to reality just a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I think I'm banking on a little bit there. I just think it's really hard to play almost like perfect basketball the way they looked like they played. And I'm sure they didn't. There's plenty to probably break down. But sometimes you just have these really good games. It's just hard to duplicate that kind of game. And so I think, listen, I like Florida State to really compete and maybe win. By the time we get to Sunday, might pick them to win the game. We'll do a little bit more work on Michigan. The interesting thing you say about Livers there, and that is the kind of like the Jalen Johnson effect with Duke, where they started to play better without him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
by the way, I shouldn't say better because Michigan was playing pretty darn good basketball with them.
But
they haven't missed a beat, to your point.
No, and the team that I saw against LSU, I watched a couple Michigan games throughout the season, and that was one of the better games Michigan played was against LSU.
Yeah. Oh, no doubt.
Yeah.
Listen, like I said, you can make it was darn near perfect. They had to be. LSU was really good.
Yeah.
So it was a good basketball game, and there's been some of those. So listen. Long story short, I think Florida State is a good enough basketball team. Sure, they're going to have to play well. They're going to have to kind of pull a mild upset against Michigan and maybe even Alabama because both of those teams are strong. But I think they're good enough to get to the Final Four. I think the bad news, at least from my perspective, is I think that's their ceiling. I don't think they're good enough to beat Gonzaga. I'm not sure anybody is, but I don't see that. And then on top of that, beating Gonzaga and potentially a Baylor. Now, we could see some upsets on the other side, and if they get to the Final Four, then the matchups maybe become a little bit more nice for Florida State. But I really do think they've got a legit chance. I don't know what their betting odds are to make the Final Four now, but I don't look at it as a big-time upset if they go to the Final Four and Michigan doesn't or an Alabama doesn't. I think they've built such a good program, and their expectation is to get W's every time they get on the floor, that I think they expect to be there by Wednesday morning. In the Final Four.
Absolutely, and we're talking about a team last year who was one of the favorites to go to the Final Four. And then when you ask that question, how much has changed from last year to this year, every team changes. But, if you're asking me the question, if Florida State loses to Michigan, would that be a disappointing, season for Florida State? And I think, they're almost to the point now, Brent, of expectations where it might be disappointing. A Sweet 16 run could be disappointing to Florida State. And a lot of college teams would absolutely cherish that opportunity. But Florida State's built their resume up so much now and their equity where it's Final Four or bust, it seems like.
Yeah, that's a good call, man. And I don't know if they've got to, win it all. I feel like Gonzaga has to win it all to punctuate the run they've been on. I'm not sure I feel like that about Leonard Hamilton. This program is in such a better place than anybody ever thought it would be 5 years ago that it's kind of gravy from here on out. Now, of course, you'd love to take that next step because you've been so strong these last few years in the ACC and one of the best programs. I just don't know if there's the pressure to do that. By the way, they've won these first 2 games by combined 6 3-pointers. They've hit 6 3-pointers combined.
Yeah.
None in the first game, 6 the last game. 6 is more like it, but still, they haven't even got hot shooting the basketball. That's my point.
It's wild.
So look out. Maybe it will come against Michigan, and maybe this team can punch a ticket to the Final Four. We'll talk a little bit more football when we come back. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 live from Eagle Landing Golf Club out here in Oak Leaf Plantation.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Partly cloudy tonight, dropping into the 50s. It'll be partly sunny on your Wednesday. Our warming trend continues. Highs reach near 80 degrees, cooler at the beaches. From the First Alert Weather Center, I'm Action News Jax Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beard's Diamonds, where right now you can get 5 years, 0-interest financing with nothing down.
We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive, and it might have done the same for you, even into the world of retirement. Although that's a bit down the road for me, it might be closer for you, and your plan should already be under a microscope, and you have to lean on the experts to help guide the right plan. My friend Mike Lester with Talon Wealth Management is the perfect partner. He will provide a complimentary analysis and a plan for you. Call him at 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com. That's 904-515-5000 or guardingyournestegg.com. Mike will give you the guidance you need as retirement gets closer. He can help you convert company plans to private plans, a move that might give you higher returns and more options. You've earned the money. Now make sure you are ready for whenever retirement will be. Call Mike Lester at Talon Wealth Management, 904-515-5000. That's 904-515-5000 or visit guardingyournestegg.com.
You decided to upgrade your outdoor deck. So you ordered the essentials: a power washer, a set of patio chairs, and a shiny new grill. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a Preferred Rewards member, which you put towards your most essential deck addition, a bird feeder. Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more-rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
CGC Water has been telling you if you're not filtering your water, you are the filter. Still not a believer? Well, you can believe me. My family has been a happy CGC Water customer for 4 years now. Customer service is tremendous. We got our water tested. We were told about our options in financing in detail. No pressure, just information. Installation was quick, and the CGC team was there every step of the way. And we absolutely love it because it works. Heck, I even think my coffee tastes better because of it. And I love my coffee. A Kinetico system from CGC Water removes up to 99% of contaminants. That's clean. Schedule your free water test today and ask how you can save up to $500. CGC is still taking extra precautions with in-home visits and continuing to follow CDC guidelines. Financing available with approved credit. Call 904-552-1242 for details or visit cgcwater.com. Serving Northeast Florida and Southeast Georgia. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Kinetico dealer. Smoked for hours, served in minutes. Now that sounds like good barbecue, and it is at Willie Jewell's in St. Augustine at Mirabella Crossing. Open 7 days a week. It's old school barbecue. Trivia night on Monday. Kids eat free on Wednesdays. Check out the Willie Jewell's app and catering for all events. Voted best wings in St. Augustine as well. Visit williejewels.com and visit Willie Jewell's at Mirabella Crossing in St. Augustine. Old school barbecue, smoked for hours, served in minutes at Willie Jewell's.
No matter what you are driving, you can step up to luxury now at any of the Fields Auto Group dealerships in Jacksonville. Cadillac, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz, and Porsche. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. So whatever you're driving, see Fields first and step up to luxury for less during this amazing opportunity. Visit fieldsauto.com.
Many of us have been fortunate to have someone along the way take an interest in our career or another aspect of our life.
To a small business owner, it is important to have an objective voice to provide advice or guidance to help identify customers, answer a legal question, or review finances. As the nation's premier organization supporting small businesses, SCORE is always looking for people willing to offer their time and expertise to mentor current or aspiring entrepreneurs. If you're interested in joining our team, go to the volunteer tab at jacksonville.score.org and start sharing your knowledge today.
Are you getting engaged? Celebrating an anniversary or birthday?
You're in luck. It's Beards Diamond's most exceptional finance offer of the year.
5 years, 0% financing with nothing down.
Yes. Shop Beards Diamond's everyday low prices on anything in the store or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Then divide your total price by 60.
And that's your monthly payment with absolutely nothing down.
How about a $6,000 3-stone designer setting?
You pay only $100 a month.
Or a $4,500 1-carat diamond solitaire pendant necklace.
You pay just $75 a month.
And every purchase at Beards Diamonds is backed by our free lifetime warranty.
Now you can go bigger and get her the diamond ring she's always dreamed about.
And spread your payments out for 5 years and pay absolutely nothing in interest.
But hurry, Beards Diamond's incredible 5 years interest-free financing with nothing down is only available for a limited time. Shop now at beardsdiamonds.com or at the St. John's Town Center.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville, guaranteed, at Beards Diamonds.
Welcome to Moe's and good morning at Moe's. In St. Augustine only at 312 and US 1, it's the only Moe's in the country serving breakfast burritos. Try it. You'll love it. Full breakfast menu only at the St. Augustine location. They put the fast in breakfast. Made to order in the drive-thru. Try the Home Wrecker breakfast burrito. Your choice of bacon, chicken, or steak with scrambled eggs, shredded cheese, and seasoned potatoes. Served daily at 6 a.m. St. Augustine location only. Make it a better morning with Moe's.
People have been isolated for months by COVID-19. If you're concerned for someone who may be experiencing sexual violence or in need of confidential anonymous information, please call the Florida Sexual Violence Hotline at 888-956-7273 or go online to fcasv.org. Help us end sexual and dating violence in Florida. This message is sponsored by the Florida Department of Health, the Florida Council Against Sexual Violence, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Have you seen it? The all-new showroom at Arlington Toyota is open, and they're ready to celebrate with big savings, even on pre-owned. Celebrate savings and hearing the words, "You're approved." That's right. With Arlington's Credit for Everyone program, if your Beacon score is from 450 to 850, almost everyone is approved. Plus, if you want selection, Arlington's got it. With over 400 pre-owned on the lot, what are you waiting for? Celebrate with savings and come see the brand new facility at Arlington Toyota Pre-Owned, 10939 Atlantic Boulevard, or online at arlingtontoyota.com.
We are the entertainment you love and information that shapes your day. We are your lifeline. We are your companion. We are broadcasters. Text radio to 52886 and let Congress know you depend on your local radio stations. This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
The March to Get Screened 5K, sponsored by the Borland Groover Foundation, is coming up March 28th. It's Rich Jones. Join me to raise funds for colon cancer awareness, life-saving screenings, and more. Check it all out at marchtogetscreened.com.
I should have my kid tell you about Jumpin' Jack's House of Food. It's Ty's favorite burger in town. Make it one of your favorites as well. Jumpin' Jack's House of Food has 3 locations now: Atlantic Beach, Mandarin, and downtown Jacksonville. Change your life burgers. But they have salads, pizza, and much more on the menu, too. Let Jumpin' Jack's House of Food be your great neighbor. Lunch or dinner with the family, or they will cater parties from 200 to 500 people. Jumpin' Jack's, HOF.com for online ordering. Jumpin' Jack's House of Food, open 7 days a week.
This is Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
J.J. Watt, interesting choice. Imagine the conversation we're having today if he signed in Green Bay. Instead, he goes to Arizona, signs to play in the best division in football. Are they the 4th best team in that division? Could be. He went to the place that had the salary cap space to afford him. And again, that's not a criticism. It's just a simple statement of fact.
Greeny with Mike Greenberg. Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. And watch exclusively on ESPN+. This is Greeny with Mike Greenberg.
Russell Wilson's agent, on the record, gave Shefty 4 teams Russell Wilson would like to play for. That is an important distinction in this conversation.
Weekday mornings at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio. And watch exclusively on ESPN+.
Austin Lane.
And Tony Khan clap back. There you go, Kuz. There's your clap back for you.
Clapped.
So,
It's a
clap.
gamer thing.
Eric Clapton. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be a good gamer name.
I'm using that tonight.
Gamer names.
Check your boy, I'm Eric Clapton.
Oh, that's so good.
Brent Martineau.
You guys just had a moment.
Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
Of course, it's always exciting when you can, you know what I'm saying, we do have the first pick, and we are, well, I guess I can't really say. So you know, I'm looking forward to that, and whoever we pick with the first pick.
I get where you're going.
Yeah. Next question.
Like that.
That was Cam Robinson on Jaguars.com. Ashland Sullivan doing the interview, and Cam couldn't contain himself. It's like, are they not allowed to say Trevor Lawrence in the building?
Yeah, I know. It's like the worst kept secret ever. Come on.
You know what's interesting is Urban Meyer tried his best to protect even Gardner Minshew the last week. You know, where he said, "Hey, I've sat down. I feel, listen, he's a competitive maniac. We haven't made any decisions." I think that is an interesting spot for a lot of players, right, and coaches, and everybody knows they're taking Trevor Lawrence. What is the excitement level of a play? Like, you were not – I guess you were kind of in that position with Blaine Gabbert. Like, once you saw – it wasn't this obvious, of course, but once you saw that the Jags got Blaine Gabbert, and, again, I'm talking like in the moment, in the next couple weeks – what was your excitement level, Austin? What were your teammates? Were you texting about it? Do you remember? I mean, how fired up do guys get? They know this is the position in the sport. This is the one you have to be successful. People who've been around here, like Cam Robinson, who's been here for 4 years, knows it's been a struggle in that position. How jacked up were you guys and your teammates at the time to get Blaine Gabbert?
I was jacked up because they didn't draft the defensive end in the first round, so that was good for me. Seriously, like
selfish ambition.
So no, you're not even lying. That was like the very first thing that we talked about. So I was excited for that because I think that was that Ryan Kerrigan's. Yeah, I think Ryan Kerrigan and J.J. Watt were the two guys that we thought they were going to take. Well, that's what I think our defensive coaches wanted, but it's neither here nor there. So I celebrated, obviously. I'll be honest. When they got Blaine Gabbert, like we knew coming out, like what they were saying about him and stuff. So we were definitely intrigued. But at the same time, we were kind of wondering, like, well, that's interesting because David Garrard was coming off a year in 2010 where we're 1 game away from going to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a lot of dialogue going back and forth about that.
That's a good call.
But at least where I sat, I was like, well, okay. I mean, I guess, but like it's not like we were that bad in 2010. So.
Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, that's a totally different situation, right? You guys think you're like, okay, if we just won another game or two, boom, we're in the playoffs, and David Garrard's our quarterback. You're still thinking, hey, DG's going to be our guy. Sure, they got a young guy for the future. That's fine. That's what teams do. But let's not go over the moon about it because we got DG and we're a step away from the playoffs. So that makes a lot of sense. This situation totally different where you can almost feel Cam Robinson right there, but I think other players know it too. I think the way that some of the receivers have talked a little bit that – listen, Marvin Jones, he comes to Jacksonville. You know what? Not know why. He might have come anyway, but he knows when he gets here, he's probably catching passes from Trevor Lawrence. You know, so it's a totally different mindset for everybody this offseason because they know the number one pick. They know about Trevor Lawrence. They know what he can be. And I guess kind of back to the point we were saying about even Gabbert, this, even though they've drafted first-round quarterbacks before, having this number one pick in this kind of setting and this kind of situation – is so different and unlike anything this franchise has ever had, and even that part encapsulates it.
Yeah, because we all thought that Gabbert would get like the Aaron Rodgers treatment where, DG would lead us for at least a year, maybe 2 years, and then it'll be Gabbert's time after that. Like, we didn't foresee this season with Dave getting, essentially cut during our right after the team luncheon, and then all of a sudden now we're like, Gabbert's in week 3 or week 4, whatever it was. Like that's not how we envisioned everything going down. Obviously, we've had Jack Del Rio on the show, and there was a lot of miscommunications, I feel like, regarding the front office and the coaching staff. So with Trevor Lawrence, I mean, you know exactly what you're getting. You're going to get a day one starter. You're going to get a day one difference maker. And if you're a free agent coming in or if you're a guy already on the team, you're excited for that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Hey, Deshaun Watson, I just saw another tweet. I think one of his an attorney talked again, and now the lawsuits are up to 16, man. We dove into this a little bit as much as we can. I mean, there's just so much we don't know. I think it's a little bit of a dangerous topic because I don't want to sound dismissive of lawsuits and potential sexual harassment and alleged abuse or anything like that. But this is just bizarre. Like, the whole thing is bizarre. Like, 16 lawsuits all of a sudden in the last few weeks. There's a lot. There's just a lot running through my head on here on this, and I don't know if I don't want it to be probably coming out on the airwaves right yet until I see more of this play out.
Sure. I mean, I'm going to deflect to what I've been saying, where I think Deshaun Watson is innocent until proven guilty, but at the same time, these accusations need to be taken 100% seriously, and they need to do the due diligence on these things and come to some sort of verdict. Now, the football side of things, obviously, it's probably going to hurt him leaving Houston or whatever the case may be, but they need to address these things and take care of these things first, I feel like, before Deshaun Watson even thinks about leaving Houston right now. So, regardless of how long that takes, time will tell. But if there is evidence and there is proof and he is found guilty, you know how I feel about it. I think if you're found guilty, you shouldn't be in the NFL anymore, but that's just me. But time will tell. Like I said, innocent until proven guilty, but you need to take these matters very, very, very seriously because they're very serious accusations.
I think what's interesting is if you asked a couple of weeks ago when I was thinking about this, I was like, here's the deal. This is going to blow over. Whatever, if it is real, if it's true, if he pays the price, it's a civil lawsuit, it's going to cost him some money. He does that. It's not going to scare away teams. He's going to go throw 50 touchdowns, and people are going to be like, yeah, that was whatever. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. Like, we're talking 16 cases. First of all, that doesn't just go away. That's not going to go away in the next 4 weeks. Now I'm to the point, Austin, where I don't think he moves. Like, I don't know if it's right that he doesn't move or wrong or whatever, but I think this alone is going to prevent him from getting traded to another team. That's the way I feel today.
Well,
I mean, I might feel different next week, but I don't think he's going to get traded to another team.
No, absolutely. What team in their right mind right now, whether these claims are true or false, but like they're out there right now, what team in the right mind is going to want to trade for Deshaun Watson right now? Like, there's no way.
But I was convinced he was getting traded, I guess. That's what I'm trying to get in my mind. Like,
yeah. I was convinced, too, until these stories started coming out. And now I'm sitting here thinking, dude, if you got this many women coming after you right now and accusing you of this stuff, and once again, it'll all come to light eventually. You just got to be patient. But in the meantime, I have a hard time believing there's a team out there right now, regardless of how bad your quarterback situation is, where you're going to want to take a risk. And in terms of bad optics, could be the worst optics of bringing Deshaun Watson onto your team, and you're going to trade for him.
Yeah, and by the way, like, I think Dabble Switty said something recently. I mean, this is a guy that many people, the view of him has been just all-world good guy. Right? Am I missing some
I mean, no. Like, I've never heard of anybody having a problem with Deshaun Watson. I've never heard the fact that, there's issues in the locker room with him. Like, I've never heard anything about Deshaun Watson that would put him in a negative light. But at the same time, these are serious accusations, and they should be taken seriously. And that's all I got to say about it.
Listen, hey, the Jacksonville Jaguars have gone through some bad times. They've had some bad moments in franchise history. They've had some bad teams, bad rosters, been whatever. Are they ever going to climb out of this? This funk, or whatever it is, that Houston is in, and how quickly it happened, is just eye-popping to me. It would be if I'm an owner of any sports team in any sport. That how quickly it can go south.
No, without a doubt.
Maybe they come out of it, maybe they make the right moves and they do the right things and blah, 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 whatever it is. And in 2 years, bam, they're back out of it. This is a forgotten thing. It doesn't feel that way. Well, this feels like it's debilitating for a while to come. Not just the Watson stuff, but everything else.
Well, it also makes you wonder as well. And obviously this is secondary because some things are more important than football. But if he was to be found guilty of any of this stuff, what is Houston going to do then? Because say goodbye to all that draft capital that you were getting thrown at. You may just have to cut that guy loose. And now what are we talking about? So this is because with all the people want to say, well, this is Houston Texans doing. I'm not sure about that, man. Because if he gets found guilty, that's going to be a whole different problem right there for the Houston Texans in general. So it's a mess from all angles.
And people have insinuated that. I think people said like the lawyer lives next to Cal McNair. This is like but isn't this over the top if they're doing it? Like, no, it's a little over the top when 16 lawsuits. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I would have believed a little bit of that because I've seen enough movies and TV that I might believe some of the conspiracy on that.
Sure.
But 16 of them?
Yep.
That's a little too much. Like, that doesn't add up. That's a little overdone.
Yes.
If this was somebody fabricating this kind of stuff. Again, you said it, innocent until proven guilty. It is a bizarre storyline centering between free agency and the draft in a pivotal time that they could have been moving Deshaun Watson, and a team like the Jets could have been getting him. And that changes a little bit everything potentially for that franchise, too. Yeah. We'll be back. Action Sports Shacks live at Eagle Landing Golf Club out here at Oakleaf Plantation. One more segment. Take you up until 6 o'clock on ESPN 690.
ESPN 690 SportsCenter update.
Happy Tuesday. I'm Jake Mitchell. Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson is facing 6 more lawsuits from just yesterday, bringing a grand total of 13 being filed since last week. One of those suits alleging an incident earlier this month. Mike McCann, legal analyst for Sportico, says even if Watson is found innocent, the damage is already done.
Yeah, there's still damage to his reputation. Just the accusation alone, being accused of sexual assault. Now, that doesn't mean his sponsors are going to cut him. I don't think they would take that step unless there's real evidence, unless these complaints advance. I think they'll be very cautious in that because, let's face it, other athletes are going to be watching.
In March Madness news, the Florida State Seminoles have moved on to the Sweet 16 by toppling the 5th-seeded Colorado Buffalo, 71-53. SportsCenter Update is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan. Morgan & Morgan, for the people.
Hey everyone, this is Brett Martineau from Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690. Hope you catch the show Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 10 different platforms. But if you missed the show today, you missed this. Are the Buffalo Bills for real?
I think they are. I mean, I've been a big Josh Allen supporter. I mean,
how about his start?
Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm not surprised.
I guess Jalen Ramsey wasn't right about him being trash. Subscribe to the podcast and check the show out on Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690. Get the podcast daily. All you have to do is search ESPN 690 in your podcast app.
Life is complicated. We all know it, and all can use the proper support system. You know what else can be complicated? Owning a home. And that's why Rex was built to go beyond the simple real estate transaction. Full-service agents for buying and selling, mortgage services, insurance quotes, escrow and title, even home repair, all one call away. I guess you could call Rex your home support system and not a typical brokerage. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. Want more? Of course you do. With all that convenience comes reduced fees, too. In fact, the average Rex homeowner saves over $10,000 when buying and selling a home. Want to get started? It's never too soon. Call 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. 833-739-4663. Florida license number CQ1057788. For further licensing disclosures, please visit rexhomes.com.
Ever finally get around to trying something and it's so much better than you expected, where you're mentally kicking yourself for not doing it sooner or wondering where it's been your whole life? That's how Griffin customers feel about their Florida-rated AC. They even tell me,
we're never going back to regular AC.
And it's the same for our Florida-rated water heaters, too. It's so much better, our customers wonder why no one told them about it before. Well, we fix what others can't. Tired of having to run a shower or faucet for 3 minutes before you actually get hot water? We can fix that.
Nice.
Tired of Jacksonville's swampy hard water hurting your appliances and hair? We can fix it.
Naturally.
Tired of a tank water heater going bad every 5 to 8 years or running out of hot water?
Yep.
Griffin can fix that big time.
Oh, yeah. I never knew I could have hot water as soon as I turn on the tap.
And my hair could be so much healthier. And my appliances can last longer.
Well, you can, but only if you call GriffinService.com.
1430-261-1250-697.
It's been 6 months since my wife leased her new Cadillac from Fields Auto Group, and she absolutely loves it. It's our first experience with Fields, and it's been terrific. They say you can step up to luxury for less, and we did. Not just a luxury Cadillac XT6. The car is beautiful, but the customer service is extra special, too. It was like that at Fields Cadillac Jacksonville, and it will be like that at any of the Fields locations in Jacksonville. Cadillac, of course, Jaguar, Land Rover, Lexus, Mercedes-Benz,
and Porsche as well. Yes, it's luxury for less at all Fields Auto Group locations in Jacksonville. Plus, you'll also be part of their exclusive Fields Amenities program, where you will get complimentary loaners, car washes, and cafes. We are now part of that Fields Amenities program, and my wife tried the loaner program. It was easy and a nice added benefit. So whatever you're driving, see Fields and step up to luxury for less. Check out their locations all around Jacksonville, just like we did. You can go visit fieldsauto.com.
As the coronavirus pandemic continues to rise, overlapping with flu season, the American Heart Association says get a flu shot. It's more important than ever, especially for seniors, children, pregnant women, and people with heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. If you get the flu, you may need to be hospitalized in an already overwhelmed hospital. The flu shot is safe, effective, and you can get it at places like your doctor's office or pharmacy. For more, visit heart.org/flu prevention.
Sponsored locally by Florida Blue.
For survivors of domestic violence in Duval and Baker counties, Hubbard House provides free, confidential emergency shelter and services. Call our 24-hour hotline at 904-354-3114.
Shred your goals this year with the new Metabolism Boost Banana Passion Fruit Smoothie from Smoothie King. At only 240 calories and 14 grams of protein per 20 ounces, this crave-controlling meal smoothie has non-GMO whole fruits, naturally derived caffeine, and absolutely no syrups. Or try strawberry pineapple or mango ginger. Start your healthier habit and order online at smoothieking.com. Now for pickup or delivery at any of the Jacksonville area locations. Smoothie King, rule the day.
I'm Marcus Roberts, a jazz pianist and a proud graduate of the Florida School for the Deaf and Blind, a state public school available at no cost to eligible K-12 Florida students who are deaf, blind, or both. FSDB prepares students for a lifetime of success, allowing them to do more, be more, and achieve more. For more information, call 800-342-3732 or visit www.fsdbk12.org.
This message is sponsored by the Florida A&M University Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, the Florida Association of Broadcasters, and this radio station.
Are you curious about marijuana? Florida A&M University established the Medical Marijuana Education and Research Initiative, also known as MARY, to educate the public about medical marijuana use as well as the detrimental health and social impacts of unlawful marijuana use on local communities. Find out more at mmeri.famu.edu.
Max. I can't wake up and say, you know what, I don't want to be here. I don't want to do this. That's not where I am right where I want to be.
The Max Kellerman Show, weekdays at 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio. Watch exclusively on ESPN+.
We'll start looking at what we accomplished at the end of the season. And now's not the time to take any bows. You're right, it's not time. This is kind of where we are. And if we're satisfied with just where we are now, then I guess we can pack our bags and go home. But these guys are pretty focused. And one of the indication was that nobody was jumping up and down and high-fiving or getting overly excited in the locker room. Everybody was sitting there calm, focused, like we've been here before. And that's the signs of a team maturing and with a purpose.
Leonard Hamilton, I assume, Florida State head men's basketball coach after another win out to the Sweet 16. You can hear that game, of course, coming up this weekend against Michigan right here on ESPN 690, your home for Florida State football and basketball. Brent Martineau, Austin Lane. We're going to put a bow on the show from Eagle Landing over the next couple of minutes. It's good to be out here. Really a hidden gem in the golf community, but they also do events out here as well. Had some lunch earlier today. It's fantastic food. The golf was great. The greens are good. Beautiful day. How about this, Austin? I'll give you a quick story, okay? We had, like the golf starter. You know what a golf starter is?
Nope.
It's the guy that starts the golf.
Basically, the golf. He's like the guy you check in with at like the first tee.
Sure.
Like the host at a restaurant.
I got you.
Yeah. So we got off
Mr.
to a
Lane,
little bit
right this way.
Exactly. That was a little bit different for us today. This guy. So here's the thing about the golf starters, and I don't want to label all of you. I love you, but some of them get a little curmudgeon-y.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Careful now because we're doing the show from that place, so be careful.
Yeah. Some can be, but it's kind of like a charm to them, you know?
Okay.
Like there is. Like it's kind of almost at times expected. These guys had a little bit of that, so they were memorable to begin with. But the funny moment came. we tee up. We play the blue tees, okay? So there's the back tees, and then one up is the blue, and that's where we usually play. And that's fine distance-wise. Listen, distance isn't going to usually be a big problem. It's left and right that's a problem for me. And so that's why I don't play the back tees, or that distance would be a problem. But I'm at the right tee playing the blue. And so I swing and I hit one like way left. So I use a breakfast ball. Kuz, you know about the breakfast ball, right?
I take like 4.
Yeah, I just take one. So fine, I hit the other one. Well, Patrick won't play with. He gets up and he hits it. And I don't hear this, but he hits a bad one off the first tee, and someone from like on the putting green is like, maybe you guys shouldn't be playing the blue tees.
Oh. Pressure.
So, let's just say we got off to a little bit of a rocky start.
Sounds like
we're a little
man.
amped up.
Dang.
But overall, it was pretty good, and we should have been playing the blue tees, by the way.
Sure.
I still don't know who it was exactly that said it, but the whole thing was kind of funny.
I respect it. Don't sugarcoat anything, man. Tell it like it is.
We had something like that happen where, the guys I was playing with, we made a point that, like, at some point during the pandemic, because we were playing every weekend, we were going to play from the back tees. At some point we were going to do it, and it got to like the end of December, like, we haven't done it. We just have to do it here. And so the starter sends us out, and we're all of us right in the water. And it was kind of a similar situation. The guys behind us were like, should we just go in front of you now?
Yeah. That first tee, listen, if you play golf on a regular basis, the group in front of you, when you watch them tee off and they dribble it off the tee a couple of times, you're like, oh my gosh, this is going to be a long day. Listen, we played in under 4 hours. We were fine. We kept pace. We had a good time out here at Eagle Landing. And again, if you want to play out here at Eagle Landing, which you should, you can get a discounted rate by jumping on the ESPN690.com. Go get our Dream 18 card. They are part of it. Thanks for their hospitality, Jim Hahn and the rest of the staff out here today. It is really a nice golf course. And you kind of feel like you're out away from everything here, which you are in a way. But it's fantastic. We just had Ferris stop by. He was listening to the show on his way in. He lives out here, Austin. Says he loves the show, so a special shout-out to him.
Right on, man. Ferris,
he stopped by, said hello. See, that's why we go out, meet people. Maybe
that's
I should
why
give.
You go out.
Hey, maybe I should give the T-shirt from Shock Your Mock today.
No, Ferris, you still have to earn that, man. By the way, is that guy want redemption, Kuz, he's talking about? He's on the chat right now.
Duval, he said he will go to the end of the earth for redemption. Don't give up on him.
No, this isn't a Rocky story, okay? You lose once, you're out. But hey, with all due respect, though, because you're a UFC fan, so tune in Friday because I'm going to break down UFC 260. Give me some props, please, because the show needs it.
We will do that during the week. By the way, Austin, do me a favor tonight. I don't know if you're training or whatever, but take a shot of Vita de Luis somewhere along the way. You need it to settle down.
I'm all good right now. I appreciate it, though.
All right.
I've come back down.
That will do it. We'll do it again tomorrow, 3 o'clock on ESPN 690. We got TV on CBS 47, Fox 30, live, local, loud, coming up next on ESPN 690. Have a good night, everybody. We should always be looking at our finances, but 2020 made my family take an even closer look, a bit more of a deeper dive.